Science tells you styrofoam is bad to digest, and so is milk for cats. They can't digest any of that type of white creamy substance. It's not good. Styrofoam is bad for you. Styrofoam is bad for you. Styrofoam is bad for you. You won't have a choice. You will die slow from cancer.
How's it going, everybody? It's Sandwhichpants here today, and I don't know if I'm late or early. Didn't bother to look before I started it. Oh, hey, I'm early. Hey, the first time being early. Let's go. Fucking garbage-ass bit rate.
You will die slow.
Yeah, it's a garbage fucking bit rate. Okay. What we're doing here today is we're going to go over this debate. I have previously seen the Vosh versus Yankee Tankie debate, in which Joey, Yankee Tankie, came across as honestly psychotic, underinformed, very poorly informed, I should say, and a little bit psychotic. As you can see here, we've got, and I'm not saying psychotic to mean like as a moral negative connotation. However, morally, Joey's also a reprehensible scumfuck. We'll get into it. Last time, let's see, so Joey, Yankee Tankie, Joey Schlattz, I'm pretty sure that's the last name. The Yankee Tankie over here. This one, down here in the corner. This is obviously Dylan Burns. But, this guy right here, he was part of the CPI, Center for Political Innovation, which was Caleb Maupin's think tank that he was trying to start, which fell apart after the rampant sexual abuse that Maupin levied at people, as well as the outright manipulation and other forms of abuse that kept the CPI and the Students and Youth for a New America impoverished, forcing them to rely on Maupin. Yankee Tankie was a part of that. Kind of a victim at the, general, not as bad a victim as other people, but definitely was victimized by Maupin. And has moved from Maupin's cult to the infrared community, Haas's bullshit. Effortless. Because it's not about actual socialism. It's not about any of the actual ideas. The debate that Vosh had with Yankee Tankie showed that every response to every question was just some bumper sticker pulled from the back of the head. Not a in-depth analysis, no actual back and forth, just bumper sticker answer. I heard one phrase that I needed to hear for bumper sticker. There you go, bumper sticker. There's no actual engagement. So, we're going to go into this, which is 2 hours and 18 minutes. For full clarity, we're actually not going to be watching it at normal speed. We'll be watching it at 1.25 times speed. In which they are going to be debating about Ukraine. Dylan is a little bit more background. Has spent quite a while over in Ukraine doing investigative journalism. Getting interviews, talking to people. And one of those people that Dylan spoke to was a lady who called out Hassan for not knowing shit about Ukraine. That's fair. Hassan is actually very much underinformed on a lot of these topics. I'm not saying I'm greatly informed, but I feel like I'm better informed than Hassan and definitely better informed than Joey. Joey called this woman a whore. because she disagreed with him. We'll get into that. But you're going to see Dylan taking some smarmy shots after Joey here just goes, how do we say, a full Roman salute.
You're a fucking Nazi, bro. Just admit it.
What Nazi beliefs do I hold?
Upholding American imperialism and NATO imperialism.
Where did Hitler write that in Mein Kampf? When he was like, we must have America dominate Germany, and we must elect Jews in Ukraine and pass non-discrimination protections for the gays.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, fucking Hitler was Jewish. Like, that's a dumbass fucking
Hitler
argument.
was not Jewish. Hitler was not Jewish. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Hitler was not Jewish. Hitler was not Jewish. Hitler was not Jewish.
He was.
You're going to go
For full clarity, no, Hitler was not Jewish.
straight into a debate with somebody by the name of the Yankee Tankie. So, could you describe who you are and just a little bit, talk a little bit about yourself, I guess?
Yeah, so I'm the Yankee Tankie. I guess you could say that I came up on the radar when I originally joined the Center for Political Innovation.
And I feel like I'm going to be matching the in-betweener here. I have very long, luxurious hair in a similar manner to Dylan Burnerito here, as you can see right here. All this hair. Long, luxurious locks, currently hidden underneath a hat for good reason. But all this hair. You know what? Yeah, no. Keep that. I like that. Fuck yeah, I like that. Alright, cool. I don't care what y'all like. I like it. So I've got the long hair, like Dylan. I've kind of got the brow line that Dylan has. And then I'm smoking weed and kind of a dumbass like Joey. Except Joey's 40 times, 50 times the dumb fuck that I am. So we're going to have a great time here. Let's go. Let's get into it.
Turned out that whole organization was run by Sex Pest, and I'm one of the people who put out a Medium article against Caleb Maupin. Since that point, I've been involving myself with the infrared community. I've been myself with some other online stuff as well. So that's what I've been focusing on for the most part. But my larger plans is to eventually be a part of an organization that's actually capable of getting us to the masses. And at this time, I don't think there is an organization capable of doing it.
Wait, there was a big Google Doc. That wasn't Google Doc. I think it was a Medium article. There was a big Medium article put out about all the accusations against Caleb. Did you contribute to that in any way?
Yes, I am one of the contributors of the Medium article.
It's true. If you... It was censored by Medium. Shantz. Joey Shantz. You know what, we're gonna go with Yankee Tankie. Eight people, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, if you actually... Okay, so that's going forward. Donnie D, Joe Gale, Joe the Red. corroboration from other members. This must be Madeline. DL. Who is DL? Oh, that's this one. Okay. This is Joey. So, yes, he did contribute. I know that's a bit of a tangent to go on to find that, but I felt it was needed.
You can actually read my part and my own experiences about Caleb on there. So that information's out there. Most people, I think, already kind of know about what transpired with that. So I'm not going to go into the details. That's not why I'm here, ultimately. But that Medium article is available online.
Okay. Do you think that if there was another organization like the Center for Political Innovation, but it didn't involve Caleb and involved somebody else that you thought was more responsible, you would rejoin it? Are you not like more of a think tank guy? You're more of like a grassroots guy? Because think tanks and grassroots are a little different.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for something that's a little bit more grassroots at this point. Preferably, something that's closer to a party that resembles a party. I think democratic centralism makes sense. I hope that the infrared community take over the CPUSA in 2036. Mm-hmm. But being that that's not my battle, I'm not really participating in that. But that would be the most likely organization I would join. Under the assumption that the CPUSA actually is taken over. For
those of you in chat who don't know, CPUSA is the Communist Party of the United States. It's been around for a very long time. Do you think it's viable? Do you think it has the potential to be viable? I mean, it hasn't really succeeded since it's been around. I mean, the closest like a socialist ever got to the highest office in the land was probably Eugene Debs, and he got 3% of the vote from inside of a prison cell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that would be correct. Eugene Debs would be as close as you've ever gotten in the context of the presidency. But the goal of communists shouldn't necessarily become president. The goal should more or less be connected to the masses.
The goal for Eugene Debs was never to become president. That wasn't his goal. That was a step to achieving his goal. That's it. Yep, from one cult to another. Slow down one red flag at a time. Hey, I think I've seen this guy before. And then down here, Sepsin says, Vosh was right. He immediately joined another cult, which he did. He said, as soon as you leave this conversation, somebody's going to walk up to you with a pamphlet and convince you to fucking KYS or something. I don't know. Which was very funny. But he straight up was like, yeah, no. You straight up are gonna fall into another cult. And
so we can build a revolutionary movement largely connected to labor. The Communist Party, as well as the Socialist Party of America back in the day.
20 minutes? I'm reading his chat. Sorry. He said, friendly intro so far. Give it about 20 minutes before the toxicity starts. Give it another, 6.
I view it as just, interchangeable parts that was in coalition with the Roosevelt government in that time period.
So do you believe in, violent revolution?
I believe that peaceful resistance is the path forward right now. Violent revolution only happens under the conditions in which the people are forced to resist the government.
Okay, got you. What kind of conditions would need to come about for you to advocate a violent revolution, do you think?
I would say that I wouldn't openly advocate for a violent revolution, but I would support people resisting the government and their tyranny.
But okay, but everybody has different definitions of tyranny, right? So so you wouldn't support a violent revolution, or would? I'm sorry, I'm a little.
This is actually a stumble on Dylan's part, I think. Not everybody has a different definition of tyranny. They have a different threshold for what tyranny is. The definition is pretty consistent. It's usually overreach by a state.
I'm confused.
I would support a violent revolution, I say in quotation marks, for legal purposes, under the conditions that the people are now at a point where they have built power, they are trying to obtain power legally speaking, and the state apparatus is preventing that from happening.
Okay. So just like to get to know somebody a little bit before I talk to them. So in the lead up to this conversation, which was going to be about Ukraine, I presume, you made a lot of tweets about me, people I interviewed, and others. You called a woman who I interviewed about her father being murdered a whore. You called everybody I interviewed.
Yeah, see, and no reticence. The only thing that she did was speak about her experience in Ukraine. And this man disagreed with her and decided, for some reason, that she is a whore. How do you... How? Well, I'll tell you how. It's just pure misogyny. Oh, you don't disagree with me, a man? Whore. Like, how do you get to that point? I have disagreements with women all the time. I don't think they're whores. Some of them just happen to be. Like, literally, they admit it themselves. Hold on, chat. There we go. Sorry, chat. Had a phone call from my cousin. 2B2T. Okay, so quick divergence because I just saw that. That server, it's kind of an anarchy server, but at the same time, like, it's not. It's kind of just a free-for-all. Now, there were some Nazis that got on there. And the community didn't take too kindly to it. Their base was a giant swastika with SS bolts. And you see what happens when you have... Like, it is an anarchy server because there's a lot of anarchists on it. But, like, it doesn't actually do the anarchy thing. Necessarily. However... once it was known, because the map is huge, somebody came across this group's base and discovered that they were Nazis. So the entire server, or a large group of the server, I think, went and fucked their base up. Just destroyed shit, stole everything that they could carry, and then encased the entire thing in obsidian and then with lava inside of it. So it was going to be a pain in the ass to get to. Like, it's essentially untouchable. They can't get to their base anymore. They destroyed that shit. And stole all their stuff. And now they die on sight. If I remember the story correctly. I could be misremembering. Anyways, back to this debate. Joey calling this lady a whore.
Interviewed basically Nazis, including the person who was murdered by the Russian military. Do you know his name, by the way? You called him a Nazi, so you must know a little bit about him.
Don't need to. I mean, if this woman is like defending the Nazi state of Ukraine, if she is doing that, her father clearly, if that's the excuse she's using, cannot be a good man.
Her father, you know nothing about her father. His name is Georgi, by the way. He liked to garden. He fed cats. He worked in Soviet production. So I guess he was a Soviet Nazi. Like, I don't know. You don't know what? Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, he worked in Soviet production, and then Soviet.
Actually, fun little thing. The Soviet Union, under Joseph Stalin, at the very least, was Nazi, in the sense that they were allied with the Nazis, and not just a little non-aggression pact. No. Don't let these Marxist-Leninists tell you that it was merely just a they're not going to fight each other thing until they could build up their military. No. Russia was sending raw material to Germany. Germany was then producing guns and tanks and other shit, and some of it they kept and some of it they sent back. they had an arms deal as well, not just a non-aggression treaty. No. There was a fucking flow of resources into weapons.
The Union collapsed and then he became a Nazi, or like how did that process do you think come about that her dead father is like a Nazi?
If you are defending a Nazi state, I don't really care.
Okay, so I guess my question to you is, what do you think a Nazi state is?
Ukraine.
That's an example in your mind of a Nazi state, but what is a Nazi state? Like, what definitionally is a Nazi state?
Countries that stand in solidarity with the transatlantic trade system within the 21st century.
Hearing that a second time hurt my brain.
Okay, do you think anybody on the planet agrees with that definition?
I don't give a shit whether they agree with it. That is the real definition.
So why is that the real
That is not the real definition. Not at all.
definition and not the National Socialist, we hate the Jews, we hate the global elite, hardcore ultranationalism tied with, more authoritarian control. Like there's like people have very obvious image from history that they grab on to say Nazi. And it's not, just somebody.
Well, yes, they were right when they talk about Germany, Nazi Germany in the 20th century. In the 21st century is a transatlantic trade system.
Okay, so what value?
I wonder how many Nazis are mad at Joey for reducing their ideology down to something so fucking stupid. Their ideology is incoherent and dumb. But it is not standing in solidarity with the transatlantic trade system of the 21st century. That is 100%. That is neoliberalism.
Values of Nazism does the transatlantic trade system that I guess her father by extension aligned with because he was Ukrainian and had a daughter who supported Ukraine. What makes it Nazi? Like, what's the Nazi values of the transatlantic trade system?
Upholding American imperialism and British imperialism.
Okay, so what's the Nazi values of American imperialism?
The Nazi values of American imperialism within the 21st century is the economic system that keeps people within the global south and far east oppressed economically.
So capitalism is Nazism is what you're saying?
In the 21st century, capitalism has degraded into Nazism.
Okay, so if you're a
No. This is how you know somebody's fucking illiterate on any sort of theory, okay? Marx wouldn't have said this. No leftist says this. Zizek, Chomsky, although I disagree with Chomsky greatly on a number of issues, looking into his positions on some of them. I used to have a great amount of respect for him, and that has dwindled a lot, especially more recently. Fucking Rudolph Rocker, like, literally nobody. Martin Luther King Jr. wouldn't have said it. Malcolm X wouldn't have said it. Angela Davis would not say that that is what Nazism is. That capitalism has devolved into Nazism. No, capitalism is churning along the exact same way it has. Getting worsening conditions for the working class. Some reforms come along so that people don't fucking revolt, and it lessens the burden for a while, and some more reforms come through, and people start to prosper, and then people fuck it up again. Because they pulled the ladder out from underneath the next generation and shit. Which, we would be in a better position, I think, if we had left in the stuff that made the 50s and 60s so economically prosperous, mainly for white people. But that got ripped away by those same people who got those benefits and shit. So everybody gets fucked. If we had left those systems in place and then just expanded them to literally everybody, we'd be in a better spot with people's needs being met. However, that would not make the system okay, because the labor exploitation is the biggest issue. So, there would be need for a change in economic form. Once that change in once the change in economic form is done, then the state can go. This I agree with Marx on with the transitory stage. Nazism is, as Dylan said, a hodgepodge of different conflicting ideas that essentially culminate in them hating Jewish peoples. They really do hate Jewish people. Ultranationalism, authoritarian governance, hating sexual and racial minorities, just in general, a form of white supremacy. It's more that. That is kind of the issue with Nazism. Fascism is most of that, except they don't really hate Jewish people. They're racist and xenophobic. Mostly. Actually, always. They always are. But yeah, no, that it's complete incoherence from Joey.
Capitalist, you're a Nazi.
If you are a transatlantic capitalist, if you're part of the petite bourgeoisie that is in the United States trying to run a business, no. But if you are part of the globalist elite, if you're part of that economic system that keeps people oppressed, yes, you're a Nazi.
I have to tell you something, Joey. Even the petite bourgeois perpetuates a system of...
Was a part of the global elite, or like how was he part of the global elite that you're talking about?
He stood in solidarity. You're a Nazi by default.
You're a Nazi by default. So to believe in a current trade system, so Nazism is economics. There's no like social values you need to hold or beliefs about the Jews. It's an economic system primarily, is what you're saying.
If you are racist or anti-Semitic, that's a bad thing, but it doesn't necessarily make you a Nazi. In the 21st century in particular.
You do need to be anti-Semitic to be a Nazi, though. It's a pretty core tenet to Nazism.
You don't. No.
And this is a Haas talking point. He says that this is Haas' brain. This is him just adopting. It's him just adopting bullshit from Haas. Now, it was Maupin's talking points, now it's Haas's. Yes, Nazism's core tenet is being anti-Semitic. That is it.
The person I think the person who revolutionized Nazism, Adolf, like he was like the Jewish cabal controls the world. It is the primary enemy of all Aryans and Nazis. We must destroy it.
Fascism has changed within the 21st century. So the Democrats are
no.
The economic system in all the countries included. The Germans that are now funding Ukraine, the French that are funding Ukraine, the NATO alliance, if you will. Those NATO fucks on the internet are just as much Nazis as the people that are actually part of NATO, because they're upholding that system of Nazism, that system of fascism that is destroying the ability of working class of all of these countries to be able to do better. The war in the first place is over natural gas and oil. That's
extremely reductionist. But I would say again, we can get into the causes of the war.
Oh yeah, that's right. This is the same guy who said that revisionism doesn't exist. Keep that in mind. Now he's waffling about reductionism isn't a thing or whatever.
Because you don't have an answer for it.
What?
You think everything is reductionist if you don't have an answer for it.
Well, no,
okay.
I believe that wars are complicated, and I think a lot of people seek simple answers to complicated questions.
I've watched shit. That's a bullshit fucking structure that you're trying to create.
So if I said, one second, if I said that World War II was caused by German nationalism, I mean, it kind of partially. Well, no, but I'm trying to explain to you why I think it's reductionist. If somebody said that World War II was caused by German nationalism, they would be right in part, but there's more factors to be considered here, including economics, the Treaty of Versailles,
I don't give a shit. Don't care. The ruling elites that are controlling the...
Of course he doesn't care, because he doesn't actually care about nuance or actual information or literally anything besides being an antagonistic, dumb fuck, piece of shit, stuck in cults. Like, he's so easily exploited. And he has been. Constantly. He's easy to exploit.
Democratic Party. They're controlling the neoliberal system in the United Kingdom. They're controlling Germany. They're controlling France. They are the fascists of the 21st century because the nature of fascism has fundamentally changed. It is no longer.
When did it change?
It changed as the end of the Soviet, the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Okay, so when the Soviet Union collapsed, Nazis transformed from National Socialists, right, to
Real
transatlantists.
Took control of the Western economic system. They were trying to do this since the end of the Second World War. It led into the collapse of the Soviet Union. And
No! That's not how that... Oh my fucking god. He's so stupid. No. Nazis did not take control of the fucking economic system. There are some Nazis in positions of prominence in like every country, pretty much, that has any sort of Nazis in it. There's going to be at least one of them that got to a position of wealth or whatever. But no. Nazis don't control. This is just the JQ, but kind of reversed.
now we're seeing these conditions in which that the neoliberal system is now effectively the fascist force in the world. Because fascism is not, let's be very clear, fascism is not a collection, a collaborative of ideas. Fascism is a type of Bonapartism. When
Oh my god. Oh. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. It doesn't say stupid bullshit, and it has all of it. Wow, it's not absolutely brainless, and there's so much writing on it that you can just fucking read. Oh, and there's criticisms. Okay, so it's got a lot of... Oh, the tenets. Oh, nationalism with or without expansionism. So just nationalism can be expansionist, can be isolationist. Totalitarianism. Oh, economy presents itself as an alternative to both international socialism and free market capitalism. While fascism opposed mainstream socialism, fascists sometimes regarded their movement as a type of nationalist socialism to highlight their commitment to nationalism, describing it as a national solidarity and unity. Fascists oppose international free market capitalism, but supported a type of productive capitalism. Economic self-sufficiency, known as autarky, was a major goal of most fascist governments. Hey, what do you know? There's a whole section about, like, economy, and there's action, age and gender roles, palingenesis, and modernism. Fascism accepts forms of modernism that it deems promotes national regeneration while rejecting forms of modernism that are regarded as antithetical to national regeneration. Yeah, of course. And then, of course, yeah, fascist aesthetics. Oh, there's way more than anti-democratic and tyrannical, unprincipled opportunism and ideological dishonesty. There's way the fuck more. From an anarchist's perspective, that you can critique fascism on. So, we got that out of the way.
One segment of the ruling class faces off against another to stabilize society. And right now, society in the West is destabilized. And what they are trying to do is create a system in which the globalist elites are able to maintain their dominance on the top and keep all of the working class, as well as the larger debtor class that exists, the petite bourgeoisie, the servant class, all of these sectors that run the economy that exist in our society, try to keep them oppressed and make it that the ruling class on the top are able to keep control, be the king of the hill.
The thing is, transatlantism has existed for a very long time. Before that would be silly. So the idea that the Soviet Union changed the definition of Nazi, when nobody besides you uses this definition, it's hard to have a conversation with somebody when they decide what words mean what, and like they just change what these words like fundamentally mean to most people.
I have a question.
I don't really give a shit on the basis of, oh, this is how these people define it, or this is how all larger society defines it.
That's how you talk to people, though.
And what is right is explaining that the transatlantic trade system in the 21st century, because it is not in a position that has different segments of the ruling class working together, but instead the main segment of the ruling class that controls the transatlantic trade system, keeping the other segments of the ruling class, as well as the working class, the servant class, and the petite bourgeoisie down and oppressed.
So everything you're describing could be described through, you could say words like imperialism, you could maybe say neoliberals, you could even say vague buzzwords like a globalist elite, right? Because like elite in what sense? As a business leader, I mean, would a Russian oligarch be an elite? I mean, like in Russian society, they're certainly a part of the elite, but that's a separate elite than the American elite. And so the thing is, if this is the words, you gotta let me finish. I let you finish. You gotta let me finish. I let you finish. You gotta let me finish. Please, come on. You said, look, you can't, if you don't, I'm not going to just let you talk if you don't let me talk, right?
I don't give a shit.
But the thing is,
you're gonna let me or not let me
it's a conversation. We're trying to talk to each other. I say words and you say words back, right? Like you have to listen. I mean, you said in advance you wouldn't listen to me no matter what. So I understand you're just here to list off talking points because you're scared of confronting what I have to say. Because you don't want to have a conversation.
You're scared that I'm revealing the fact that you are aligned with the neoliberal establishment. You're aligned with the World Economic Forum.
Okay. Yes. I'm not scared. I am aligned with the neoliberal establishment when it comes to Ukraine. I'm not afraid of that fact. But the problem is,
like, this guy is so fucking lost. Holy shit. So Yankee Tankie is there's something fundamentally wrong. My only suggestion is therapy. Quite literally, go the fuck to therapy. Joey, if you watch this, which you might, I have a feeling you name search. If you watch this, I'll need to go and change one of the tags because I spelled your last name wrong. I apologize for that. Seriously, go to therapy.
Is just because that's not what Nazism is. Nobody believes that. If I say being racist is when your name is Yankee Tankie, and I'm the only person who says this, can I just go around and say Yankee Tankie's racist? Why? Well, I define racist as being named Yankee Tankie. You can't just like come up with your own magic. What do you mean because you're white? I'm white. We're both white.
I'm right and you're wrong.
Oh, you're saying right. Sorry, it's hard to tell you what you're saying with the mic. It's not extremely good.
The difference is I am right and you are wrong.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I hadn't considered that. Thank you for bringing it to my attention.
You should have considered it. You should have considered you're a bitch-ass Nazi. You should have considered.
Should I? I didn't think about it. Now, you know what? It probably is pretty crazy. I had that secret meeting in Argentina with the global cabal elite. That would explain why I did that. I took that Heydrich Himmler blood oath. That would explain that.
You don't have to fucking be in with the elites to be a Nazi.
So, by the way, your definition of Nazism is confusing to me, especially because you said Russians. You said on Twitter that Russians can't be Nazis. You said it's impossible.
Sir,
you said it's impossible. This is the main issue with your definition. You said it's impossible.
You don't care about the working class.
Stop virtue signaling. Okay, stop virtue signaling. You're virtue signaling now. We're not even talking about labor.
He has such amazing patience. At this point, I would have already muted him and been like, dude, you need to shut the fuck up. I will mute you. And you will let me talk. And then I will unmute you when I am done. And you can talk.
labor rights, or like we're just talking about definitions still. You gotta calm down, dude. Look, I'm not yelling at you because you just call random Ukrainian women who get their fathers murdered by Russian army whores. I'm trying to stay calm generally. You gotta like at least.
You're trying to stay calm, bitch.
Then why are you talking? Why are you here if you're just gonna?
I don't care.
Well,
I do not care. I do not care that you're talking. The facts are that you serve imperialism.
Bro.
You serve NATO. You're over there as a propagandist
The
in Kiev.
ultimate in bad
Kiev.
faith.
Let's be
Just
fucking clear.
seriously,
It's
if he's going to
Kiev,
talk over,
okay?
try and talk
You're
over
over there
Dylan, I'm
in the
just
old
gonna talk
capital
over
of the
him, 'cause
fucking
it doesn't
Russian
even fucking
Empire,
matter.
trying to
He's
fucking
such
spread
a
propaganda for the U.S.
fucking
imperialists. So
Please.
United States can sell
Somebody
natural gas to
get
Germany
him
instead of Russia.
into
That is
therapy.
what you fucking care about. You don't give a shit about the Ukrainian people.
Wow.
You don't give a fuck about the Ukrainian people.
Wow.
You're just a propagandist. You are serving imperialism. You are serving Nazism. You are serving the bourgeois elites. You do not give a shit about the working class in this country, in Ukraine, in Germany, in France, in the United Kingdom.
I especially don't care about the French. I especially don't care about the French.
Well, at least you admit it.
Well, yeah, no, like everybody else, though, I care about the working class of every other country but the French. Okay. So the thing is, you said on Twitter, you said
I don't like French people. I'm out of curiosity. Why do you hate French people?
because I'm bigoted towards them.
Wow! So you admit it.
Yes,
That's beautiful.
I hate croissants. I hate baguettes. I hate frogs.
I've watched enough Dylan to know when he's just essentially shit posting, and this is it. Like, I normally can't tell if somebody's just shit posting unless I've watched them for a while. And so, I have to kind of dedicate time to watching them. But this is definitely Dylan just totally taking the piss.
I don't like how good their wine is. It makes me feel inferior as an American wine lover. There's a lot of reasons. I have a French editor, and it's
Alcohol's haram anyhow, so why you drink it?
What was that?
Alcohol is haram anyhow, so why you drink it?
Inshallah, brother. But okay, so back to your definition of Nazi. You said on Twitter that Russians can't be Nazis.
They cannot be Nazis. They either are a Russian or a Nazi.
Okay, so there are multiple Russian neo-Nazis who have swastikas tattooed over them.
The Russian government has been doing everything they can to knock down the
giving them militias, right? I mean, that's also something they've done. I mean, for example, the founder of the Wagner Group has neo-Nazis tattoos all over his chest. He's got like a swastika, a German eagle, over another swastika, an SS tattoo, like right here.
Statistics here? No, you haven't. You haven't seen any of the evidence that
Yes, I have.
that Russia has actually been knocking down all of these Nazi organizations. This is that propaganda that these.
They have not. They have empowered them because Dugin is a fascist. He calls himself a fourth positionist or whatever, the fourth political theory or whatever the fuck, which is anti-fascist and anti-communist, but it's also anti-capitalist. No, it's the same shit. It's literally the same thing. He's just a fascist that claims not to be racist because he wants to build like a super fascism.
Wait, you didn't respond to what I said. This is why you can't talk to people. Okay, if you don't communicate.
Nazis in Russia too.
Well, it's just your definition of Nazism is silly when you're saying everyone can. The transatlantics are all Nazis because of their economic view. But if you're a Russian and you're a Zig alien and saying that the Jews should be exterminated, you're not a Nazi. That's a ridiculous definition. Nobody else on the planet that thinks that definition is realistic. Nobody else will use that definition. Use just a custom definition you've made. Just so you can call the Ukrainians Nazis, but the Russians can't be Nazis.
I'm waiting for the next fucking Karl Marx here, bitch.
You're the next Karl Marx.
Goddamn right.
That would explain why you're unemployed. Sorry.
All right, that was a good zinger. But also no. This man is so far away from being a Karl Marx. He literally doesn't have an original thought. He is literally just repeating shit that he has heard from Haas and from Maupin, who have also just been repeating shit that they heard from some fascist. That's mostly it. Like, come on. It's ridiculous. But he's a fascist, so he's got to be ideologically idiosyncratic. Like, he doesn't have consistent views.
I'm a mean person.
I do have a job. That's clarify here. I have a job. I'm employed. This is my buddy's house I'm sitting in. This isn't a fucking random ass alley. This is where I get. So, let's be very clear. I have a place that I live. Unnecessary.
Unnecessary. You called the women that I interviewed about their fathers being murdered by the Russian army whores, and I make a quick about you, and now you're angry.
Correct. I was correct, and that's what matters.
So you're correct about her being a whore because why? Why do you need to call the people? Why do you need to call Ukrainian women whores to feel better about yourself? Is it because you can't get women? Is that like part of it? Like you need to demean women to feel better about yourself?
A proper traditional relationship.
Called it. Dylan has called it. This motherfucker is a salty incel.
What?
God forbid I supported something like a fucking traditional, healthy fucking relationship.
What do you know about her relationship? You just called her a whore because she was a woman who disagreed with you.
She's a fucking degenerate, and so are you.
How is she a degenerate? How is she a degenerate?
And right there, immediate Nazi language. Because, of course, he is. He's a fascist. He's pretty much a Nazi. I don't know how much he hates Jewish people. I assume he hates them a lot based on the other shit that he's been saying. But, you know, it's pretty fucked up, you know? Like, oh, they disagreed with me, so I'm gonna call them whores. Because I don't agree that Ukraine is a place that they should defend. Even though it's where they've grown up.
What about her relationships? You said she got passed around.
Fucking Nazi soldiers in Ukraine, okay?
What?
She's going around fucking sleeping with Nazi soldiers in fucking Ukraine.
Really? Do you really? How do you know that? How do you know that she's doing that?
I have my sources.
You have your sources?
Fact.
Are they the voices in your head?
His sources, he made it the fuck up!
They are the infrared community, bitch.
Okay, so there are voices in your head.
What?
Yes.
Oh, so apparently the infrared community doesn't exist. Apparently it's just a figment of my imagination, and all of you guys have been attacking the infrared community that doesn't exist. And
We don't attack the infrared community. We make fun of Haas and Hinkle. If that's the community, you are pathetic.
you haven't actually been attacking them at all. Like, apparently none of these things exist. Okay, yeah,
What do you
sure.
mean
whatever.
attacking? Like, what have I done against the infrared community?
You and all of these like fucking synthetic left fuckheads, all these people that are pro-democratic party have been attacking the fucking infrared community for fucking months.
But how did I attack it? How did I attack it though?
You support the same people that have been attacking him.
So who did I support in an attack against infrared?
Literally almost every time I see
Okay,
fucking.
can you name a single example? Anything?
Like, just go through your fucking Twitter and find it. Like,
I really.
Ooh, that looks really bad. Oh, all these people that attack the infrared community, you're there supporting them. Can you name a single one? Just look through your Twitter feed. You'll find it. No. Yeah, exactly. No chump change. Give me names. Give me names, you dumb fuck.
I'll make a tweet about every once in a the only attack that's ever been made towards the infrared community is me upon infrared's ego because of the boxing match. Okay, that's the only attack I think I ever sustained against the infrared community, and it was all a meme anyway. Like, infrared's infrared. It's like he does what he's gonna do, right? He's gonna yell.
Right.
He's gonna gorilla out. It is what it is.
Sure.
Okay. So again, this definition of Nazism. So you're saying that if a Russian, you just need to answer this one question, okay? The one question all Yankee Tankies will never answer because he's too scared.
I'm not going to answer questions that you've clearly manipulated.
What do you mean manipulated? It's a question. How do I manipulate a question?
Question.
How?
It's just
I'm
like,
going to propose you a question, and then you either respond to it or you don't. This is how debates work. I pose you questions, you pose me questions, we go back and forth. You said you wanted a debate.
you're wrong.
That's not a debate. You're just virtue signaling.
That's just me attacking you because
That's you're virtue signaling. You're saying I'm right, you're wrong, you're a Nazi, you're evil, you need to be canceled, you need to be run away. Like this is what you're doing. Like you're not talking, you're not debating me even. You don't even need to talk to me like you like me, but you need to respond to questions, or you're not having a debate and you're running away from a debate because debates you respond to questions.
I'm right here.
Okay, so you're running away from my question. You're saying you will not
here?
answer it.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer your fucking.
So you are running away.
I'm right here. I'm
Okay,
clearly not.
then I'm going to ask the question, and either you answer it or you run away from it.
That's a manipulative question.
Pussy.
Okay, my question is very simple, and everybody else in the world can answer this question very easily. Okay, what
question?
What did you just do?
That's your question. Sucking off that fucking NATO cock. That's your question.
Okay. That kind of threw me for a loop. So my question is, if a
Yeah, I think that threw everybody for a loop, Dylan. It had nothing to do... And he's about to interrupt again. Oh my fucking god. It has nothing to... His interjection had nothing to do with anything going on.
That's
you need help?
Fucking Nazi.
Like, do you need like psychological help? Do your family know who you are?
You're the one asking me if I need psychological help
Yes,
while you
because I'm trying to ask you a question, and your response is
Wow, did you... Okay, I don't know if you could hear that, but he said, you're asking me if I need psychological help when you're supporting Ukraine? Yes, you need psychological help, Joey. Go fucking seek it.
this is like shadow jerk off a penis. Like I don't know how to respond to this. Like this is.
You don't get to say this person's not mentally well.
I'm not saying I didn't make the claim. I'm asking if you're mentally well. I'm asking if you're doing okay.
I'll make the claim. He's not.
If you're,
You know what you're doing, and what you're actually doing is NATO. I love that NATO cock. That's you.
do you think this is something that would appeal to like Americans if they see this on the TV and you just like shadow jerking off a penis? They'll be like, yes, that's the communism. That's what we need to fix this country.
I don't give a shit what you think is going to fix the country.
No, I'm not asking what I think. I'm asking what Americans think. Real red-blooded, not libtard Americans. You know, if you see you every time you get asked a question, your response to being asked a question is to jerk off an invisible penis and make slurping sounds instead of answering the question because you don't want to answer it because you're scared of the question.
Fucking imperialist cock. That's what you're doing.
You got dick on the mind, man. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so if a Russian joins Rusich or joins a neo-Nazi organization or is covered in swastikas and does zikhailing, are they a Nazi?
They are getting cracked down by the Russian government.
Are they a Nazi? Answer the question.
They're being cracked down by the Russian government.
Or given guns, so like Rusich. They gave Rusich tons of guns. Rusich is in part of the Kherson occupation forces. They all openly talk about the disdain for the Ukrainian people and how they hate these people and need to be tamed.
Bro, just come to terms with that reality.
Rusich, do you know what Rusich is? Rusich.
That's not a real thing. That is not a real
Rusich
thing.
isn't a real thing.
Russia bans Nazis.
What you're saying? So like,
No, they don't. They support them.
all the like Rusich like videos of them like with guns and fighting and stuff. Is all that like deep faked or like what is that?
There's plenty of deep fake shit, but there's
You
plenty
think
of
it's been deep faked?
Nazis are getting put on the front lines purposely so the Russian government can make sure that they're no longer in the population of Russia.
So you think the Russian government is taking Russian Nazis, which you won't even admit to if you're a neo-Nazi in Russia that you're actually Nazi because I guess Russians are just genetically just cannot be Nazis or something for whatever reason.
Culturally, they cannot be Nazis.
They cannot be Nazis. So if you're like, okay, if somebody says I love Adolf, if somebody came out and said, hey, I like Hitler, I want to kill all the Jews, I'm Russian, and they zig-hail, are they a Nazi? Are they a Nazi? This is an easy question. If you want to kill all the Jews in the second Holocaust and you're part of a neo-Nazi organization and you're Russian, are you a Nazi?
The Russian government will ban you if you're not a Russian.
Or give you guns and send you to Ukraine to fight a part of Rusich and stuff like that. And you think that's good? Do you think it's good to give Nazis guns?
I think it's great to put Nazis on the front lines to fight other Nazis to make sure that those Nazis are no longer having any type of political influence in Russia.
Do you think Nazis can take part in a denazification operation, like Nazis denazifying Nazis?
I think that if they get put on the front lines, they won't have an opportunity to be in that position.
Well, the problem is if you put Nazis on the front line of a major war, they're going to interact with civilians. What are they going to do to civilians if they're Nazis?
Oh, Russia bans Nazis. In December 2016, Utkin, one of the people who founded this Nazi group that Dylan mentioned, the Wagner group, Utkin was photographed with Russian President Vladimir Putin at the Kremlin reception given in honor of those who had been awarded Order of Courage and the title of Hero of Russian Federation. So, and had received the award but could not say for what except that it was presumably for courage. Utkin. Yeah. A veteran of the First and Second Chechen Wars reportedly founded the group. So, yeah, no. They do the supporting.
Yeah, how are they going to interact with civilians?
They'll execute them. They'll rape. They're Nazis. What do you mean? They're Nazis. Well, you won't admit that Russians can be Nazis, but like
no, I won't.
Because so again, you don't believe that a Russian with a giant swastika on his forehead saying "I love Hitler and I want to kill all the Jews."
They're not a Russian.
So they're not a. What do you mean? Like they're not? Like they were born in Russia? What do you mean they're not
It
Russian?
doesn't matter what their fucking status are. They're not culturally Russian.
You can be Russian and be a Nazi. Like, it's
Russian.
stupid, but you can. Nazis are not smart people. They're usually really stupid.
Talk about self-own right there.
Feel better?
You're fucking
He doesn't know what a Nazi is, so.
Nazi, bro. Just admit it.
What Nazi beliefs do I hold?
Upholding American imperialism and NATO imperialism
Where
to
did Hitler
oppress.
write that in Mein Kampf? When he was like, "We must have America dominate Germany, and we must elect Jews in Ukraine and pass non-discrimination protections for the gays."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
Russia-
Nazism is tied to many cultural beliefs, beliefs
not
about
Nazis.
Jews and homosexuals and
Argument.
black people.
Because
Like, Nazism
Ukraine-
is not just an economic system.
They're not Nazis. That is really your argument. That, like, I mean, fucking Hitler was Jewish. Like, that's a dumbass fucking
Hitler
argument.
was not Jewish. Hitler was
Yes, he
not
was.
Jewish. No, he
Yes, he was.
wasn't. No, he wasn't. Hitler was not
Yes, he was.
Jewish. Hitler was
He was.
not Jewish.
Yes, he was.
Hitler
Yes,
was
he
not
was.
Jewish.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Okay, so the Hitler was Jewish conspiracy is usually promoted by Nazis to try to dismiss the fact of the Holocaust. It's not true.
I'm not
It's not true.
Holocaust.
It's just not true.
Fucking terrible.
Provide me any historical source of any repute that will show that Hitler was a Jew, please.
Hitler was a Jew, but also simultaneously, he was a terrible person.
He was not a Jew. He wasn't.
Yes, he was.
He just wasn't. This is just a lie. This is Nazi propaganda. The irony here, I guess, has been lost on you. But
It literally is Nazi propaganda, and he's a Nazi.
this is Nazi propaganda. This is like propaganda pushed by Nazis to try to dismiss the whole. Like, hey, what do you mean he was Jewish? Like, I don't like. This is something that's usually brought up. A lot of times it's brought up either by Nazis to try to dismiss the Holocaust or other people to try to like undercut like Hitler's like Aryan theories, right?
And it's fucking terrible what they're fucking doing. But it was disgusting what Nazi Germany did. It's disgusting what Nazi Ukraine is doing.
Not a Nazi state, but
They were
okay.
they were led both by Jewish leaders.
Hitler was not a Jew, and I don't know why you would say the Jews are murdering and holocausted themselves. I don't know why you would say such a thing.
One particular Jew. It was.
No, he didn't. Why would Hitler, while being Jewish, want to genocide all the Jews? What's even the logic there?
What's the logic?
What's
He
the
doesn't
logic?
give like Jewish people. He doesn't give a shit.
Hitler hated Jews. He hated Jews fervently. It was fundamental to his belief. He was not Jewish.
Shut up. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Hitler.
Says the guy who won't shut the fuck up. No, okay, no. I need to get this guy on so I can just mute him every like 10 seconds and yell at him to shut the fuck up.
It's not who I'm talking about here. Zelensky is who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Zelensky doesn't give a shit about Jewish people. He doesn't give a shit about Ukrainian people.
I think he
And
does.
especially doesn't care about Russian people, and he especially doesn't care about Roma people.
But the thing is,
That is
unlike
situation.
people like Yanukovych, Zelensky stayed with his country once the going got tough, right? Yanukovych fled the country, went to Russia for Russian protection when the going got tough.
Because George Soros fucking came in with a bunch of other fucks and
Yeah,
fucking
George
started.
Soros did it. You want to talk about Euromaidan? I'd love to talk about Euromaidan.
I'd like to tell you that everything you think about Euromaidan is not true.
What was that, Euromaidan?
I'd like to confirm the fact.
I
that
don't
have
think
no-
you know nothing about Euromaidan. I don't think you even know the basics of it.
You fucking know it. It was a fucking
You don't know
coup
anything about that.
by fucking George Soros and all these other fucking.
Honestly, I wish it was a coup. I wish we did it, but we didn't. So we can't claim credit for this one, sadly.
in fucking Ukraine.
It would
This
have
is the
been dope
real-
if that was us, though.
There was a
It'd be a
fucking coup.
base pull-off.
You deny that it was. It is the equivalent of Holocaust denial.
It's equivalent of Holocaust denial for me not to say a coup occurred.
The last 8
Wow.
years.
So the person who thinks Hitler is a Jew and likes to call like Ukrainian women degenerate whores and is fine with war crime is gonna lecture me. Is gonna lecture me about like being respectful towards the Holocaust when you throw the word Nazi around like it's candy. You throw it to everyone. Everyone's a Nazi. You've degraded what the word Nazi means. Nazi is a serious thing. It's a very serious thing. Nazism is a very serious thing. It's not just if you're an American who's like maybe we should support Ukraine. Nazi. That's not Nazism.
Yes, it is.
Wow, very smart. Very intelligent. But let's talk about Euromaidan.
No, he's so fucking dumb. Holy shit. Dylan, you have the patience of a saint. I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you stand to do this with people like him. But he's doing it deliberately. Like, this is not... You can see it. He's deliberately trying to just blow apart any meaning of the word Nazism because he's a Nazi. I will just come out and say it. The more I've seen of this video, the more I am convinced, yeah, he's just a fucking Nazi.
complained about it. You it was during your rant about how the Ukrainian woman I was interviewing are whores. You talked about how Euromaidan was all this, was all that. But I wanted to ask you the most basic questions because I don't think you know anything about Euromaidan. I think all you know is from message boards. So I'm going to ask you what it was like. If George Soros did it, then all hail George Soros, New World Leader. But the thing is,
it was a color revolution that was funded by George Soros.
Okay, so what is the association agreement?
It was a color revolution funded by George Soros.
What is the association agreement? This is the most basic facts about Euromaidan. What is the association agreement?
A color revolution.
The association agreement was a color revolution. The association agreement was not a color revolution.
It was a color revolution funded by George Soros.
How was the association agreement funded by?
He's so anti-Semitic. Do you hear it? He just can't say. He's using the most common scapegoat by Nazis to blame a fucking government overthrow by their own people. It was a revolution, not a coup, committed by the U.S. or whatever.
By George Soros. How was the association agreement funded by George Soros?
It was a color.
What is the association agreement?
It was a color revolution that was funded by George Soros.
The association.
It was a color revolution funded by George Soros.
The association agreement wasn't the color revolution. It was a piece of legislation.
Color revolution funded by George.
Bumper sticker answers. I told you from the beginning. That's all these guys.
So how did the association agreement bring about color revolution? How did it do that?
Funded by George Soros.
Do you know what the association agreement is?
Revolution funded by George Soros.
What about the Berkut? Do you know the Berkut?
Funded by George Soros.
You don't know anything about Euromaidan.
Color revolution funded by George Soros.
You can't.
It was color revolution
You can't
funded
do
by
this.
George Soros.
This is not how you debate people.
Funded by George Soros.
You're like a cuckoo clock at this
It was a
point.
color revolution. It was funded by George Soros.
Is this what you do when you don't know about the topic? You can just say I don't know what the association agreement is.
Color revolution. It was funded by George Soros. It was a color revolution. It was funded by George Soros.
The association agreement?
It was a color revolution. It was funded by George Soros.
How did George Soros fund the association agreement? I'm asking you how George Soros did it. How did he fund the association agreement?
It was funded by George Soros.
You just what
Color
is
revolution,
this?
and it was funded by George Soros.
Mute him. That's all you can do. Mute him.
You
Make
sure
him
you're
shut
okay?
the fuck up.
It was a color revolution. It was funded by George Soros.
Is this what you're gonna do for the rest of it? You're afraid to answer any of the questions?
You just are lying about the reality
I'm
that
asking
it was
you. I'm not even lying. I'm asking you what the association agreement was.
I don't care. It was a color revolution.
It's the most important part of Euromaidan. What do you mean you don't know what the association agreement is?
The facts about the fucking color revolution. It was funded by George Soros.
How can you call it a color revolution when you don't know the most basic facts of what Euromaidan was? If you don't know what the association agreement is, you shouldn't talk about Euromaidan.
It was a color revolution funded by George Soros.
The association agreement was a color revolution. The association agreement. Okay. For those who are interested in chat, for those who are interested, the association agreement, since he doesn't know what it is, was an agreement.
It was a color revolution funded by George Soros.
Okay, so
Mute him.
this is what I'm just gonna do then.
Oh, you're gonna mute me?
If you don't respond, what am I supposed to do? All you're doing is yelling.
Also accept the fact that Yankee Tankie is winning this debate.
You're not. You're just acting like a spastic.
True.
The Yankee Tankie is clearly winning this debate because
You
this
don't want
guy-
to answer any questions. You're not having a debate. You're virtue signaling. You're acting like an SJW. Did you know that? You are the biggest SJW in all of communism. You don't answer questions. You won't talk to people who you think are Nazis. You call everyone a Nazi. Everyone's a fascist. Everyone's a racist. Everyone's a Hitlerite. Everybody's everything. You're acting kind of like a cuck, if I'm going to be for real with you. Okay? Kind of like an SJW cuck. Okay? So either you respond to the most basic questions about Ukrainian history, or you just secede. You don't know anything about Ukraine. So what is the association agreement?
Nothing about
Okay,
Ukraine.
you know everything. Then answer, what is the association agreement? What is it?
I don't care because I'm not going to
Because
answer.
you don't know. You don't know what it is.
I do know what it is. I'm just not going to tell you.
That is. You realize how bad that looks when you say that. It sounds like you don't know the answer to the question. Nobody's gonna believe you know the answer.
I literally. It
You know
doesn't
how
matter
much you could
I
humiliate me right now, but if you answered what it was, I would look like such a fool. I would look like such a fool. I would look like such a nerd. You know what?
I get great to this debate because I get an increase in viewership. This is me taking advantage of the algorithm, just like I did with fucking NAPO, just like I did with fighting against Bosch. None of this fucking matters. All it matters is I'm calling you out for fucking being a fuck. Nazi, and I get views. That's how it works.
Do you ever think the fact that you left a cult meant that now you want to fill another cult up in your head? You need another strong man outside of Caleb Maupin. You've just replaced it with Putin and Russia. That you've just accepted a separate cult.
I'm the strong man.
You're the strong man?
Goddamn right.
How much can you bench?
More than you, bitch.
Wow.
Oh, wait.
How much is that?
200.
200?
Goddamn right.
Fantastic. So less than you weigh then.
I mean, I weigh 235, so I mean barely, but sure.
Okay, gotcha. So what about the Berkut? Do you know what the Berkut was?
What are you even talking about right now?
Okay, so you don't know what the Berkut is. The Berkut was the Ukrainian riot police that cracked down against Euromaidan protesters, murdering many of them.
Base.
So you don't know what they are. You don't even know who they are. How can you say base when you don't even know who they are? You're just saying base because I said they murdered Ukrainians.
Down Nazis, they're inherently base.
So if I brought out a list right now of the people the Berkut murdered, you're going to say they're all Nazis, including the communists on the list.
No real communists supported a Nazi government.
What do you mean? Do you think Euromaidan was all about electing like Svoboda? Euromaidan was supported by the vast majority of Ukrainian civil society and people. Like, you can't just call everybody a Nazi to disregard what they're saying.
A bunch of Nazis.
You don't know anything about Euromaidan. If you didn't know what the Berkut is, if you don't know what the associative agreement is, then you know nothing about Euromaidan.
I know it's a Nazi country, and I know that for a fact that the government of Ukraine is playing a part in the U.S. experiment to try to maintain U.S. imperialism and the oppression of people in the Far East and the Global South. And that's all I fucking need to know.
No, not really, but kind of.
So you're just here to act like a schmuck.
He's fucking stupid.
I'm here. I told you I'm here. I'm here to increase my viewership. That's why I'm here. That's how I fucking operate. Have you seen?
Do you think this is going to increase your viewership? Do you think this is going to increase your viewership long term?
Increase my viewership. Goddamn right it is.
Wow. I didn't know I was such a powerful force.
That's what fucking everything everything the Yankee Tankie is about increasing my viewership and increasing my reach.
So you're just a clout goblin. You're not about actually having productive discourse. You're not about having debates. You're just a clout goblin.
This thing of having productive discourse online. Everything's propaganda. Whether you're on the left, the right, you're on the top, you're on the bottom, whether you're libertarian or you're authoritarian, it doesn't fucking matter. All of this shit is fucking propaganda. There's no real discourse. There's no real discourse online. Where are you? All just about fucking attacking those so you can fulfill your own agenda.
Are you in an alleyway?
Fucking media is. That is literally what all of it is. My goal of fucking going on here with you.
Are you in an alleyway?
On a fucking debate that I fucking is to increase my viewership so I can spread more fucking communist propaganda in my country. That is it.
Are you in an alleyway?
I'm between two houses, sure.
Okay. Why?
Because this is where I have Wi-Fi. Like, why does it matter?
Why do you have Wi-Fi in the alleyway? Why?
Because my buddy's house is next to me, right here.
Okay, so why not just inside the house then?
Because there's kids, and I don't want them to like fuck up the recording of the stream here. You know.
I am happy that you're not saying these things in front of children. I don't think that would be appropriate.
Well, actually, ironically, for once we have an agreement.
Yeah, I don't think you should just call Ukrainian women whores and stuff like that. I think that's pretty bad. Especially, do you realize what do you mean? You don't know she's a whore. You know nothing about her.
I have my sources, and that's all I need to know.
Yeah, you have no sources. It's the voices in your head. You don't know who she is. You haven't talked to her before. And like, why you're just gonna
fucking Ukrainians?
Okay. So you know she's a whore. Okay. So what's her name?
I don't even give a shit what her name is.
So you don't know her name, but you know she's a whore.
I know she's a neoliberal, blue-haired fucking freak supporting U.S. imperialism while pretending.
Wow. Yep. Just went full into the Nazi shit.
Support U.S. imperialism. Well, because I watch your fucking debate or fucking interview with her, okay? And she does not actually believe the fucking things that she says she's doing.
I'm pretty genuine she does.
Aligning with the U.S. imperialists. Her actions are aligning with NATO. It doesn't matter.
Why am I... If I believe that Ukraine deserves to be its own independent country, free from a Russian invader, if that happens to align with American interests, that doesn't mean that you just abandon Ukrainian sovereignty or you fight against Russia's slaughtering of Russian speakers in Ukraine.
Or the Russian army attacked Ukraine. That is exactly what you should do. Ukraine shouldn't even exist. It was Lenin's only mistake. Ukraine should have never existed. Ukraine is part of Russia.
Lenin's
and it
only mistake. Hey, I'm sorry, buddy, but Lenin did a lot of fucked up shit. He did a good thing with the revolution, and then immediately after that, fucked everything up. Okay? So, no. Lenin did a lot of shit wrong. Making Ukraine its own sovereign territory is not one of them.
To be clear, you said that I have a Nazi tattoo, correct?
Correct.
Because I have for those of you curious,
Ukrainian symbol, and a Ukrainian symbol is inherently a Nazi
a
symbol.
Ukrainian symbol is inherently Ukrainian culture is inherently Nazi culture.
Ukrainian culture doesn't exist. It's Russian culture that's been co-opted.
So what is Ukrainian language? What is that?
It's a fucking language. Okay.
Yeah, so what? Culture, language is culture, man. Language is culture. Like Spanish is part of Spanish culture, you know. English is part of English culture. Gaelic is part of Irish culture, you know.
Ukrainians still speak Russian.
The majority. Okay, and what do you think that was because? Why do you think that's the case? It's because of years of Russian imperialism banning the Ukrainian language, trying to steal away their identity. They did. The Russian Empire banned the Ukrainian language. They banned it because they wanted to get rid of the ethnic community in Ukraine. And you are fine with that type of cultural erasure and erasing. Yes, there is. There are people who live there for thousands of years.
Just a different area of Russia.
You sound like a Turkish nationalist just describing the Kurds. What do you mean, Kurdish people? They're mountain Turks.
Too. I mean, honestly, yeah. The Kurds aren't a real fucking society either. They're fucking CIA-backed fucking shills that fucking reject.
So the ethnic group of the Kurds are the CIA. So so thousands of years, the CIA time traveled to ancient times to plant the Kurdish DNA throughout Turkey's mountainous regions to cause instability and support the PKK, which, by the way, America sees as a terrorist organization anyway.
Yeah, but yet the CIA funds them.
How?
Yeah, the CIA actually funds the Kurds. That's what they did in Syria.
What do you mean the Kurds? You just said an ethnic group. This would be like saying, did you know America funds black people? Which black people? You gotta be more specific than that.
The Kurds are specific. That is a larger group of a small group of Arabic people.
But there's different Kurds fighting on different sides. For example, there were like Kurdish ISIS fighters. There were Kurdish YPG and YPJ fighters. There's Kurdish Peshmerga fighters. There's Kurdish PKK fighters.
People who believe in a Kurdistan are funded by the CIA.
All of them?
All the ones that are fighting the PKK, yes.
That's basically most Kurds, actually. Like that's basically all of them.
Wait, did he actually call them Arabic?
It's almost like most Kurds.
So you think the entirety of the ethnic community of the Kurds has been completely hijacked by the CIA and they're just a lapdog now?
Pretty much.
Why do you remove the autonomy from like groups around the world who are trying to fight for their freedom? Like, would you say the same thing about Algeria?
Based on the material stabilization of the world, we should be creating larger freaking states, not smaller little tiny balkanized countries. The world needs to
create larger states. You fucking statist. Get the fuck out of here. Call yourself a communist.
The problem is a lot of
societies that exist, and you come to terms with those societies.
The problem is I don't like laws banning languages. I think that's bad. And the reason I think it's bad is because you're trying to erase people's culture and forcibly observe them, erasing thousands of years of history. It usually involves mass killings, which I know you're also probably fine with. It usually involves mass deportation of ethnic groups in places like Siberia. You're favor of all of this.
Cry about it.
So cry about genocide.
Genocide.
Do you think if I take a bunch of people...
He literally just described genocide, and this guy's just like, cry about it. Wow.
People, and I forcibly move them off their homeland and force them in like a Trail of Tears type situation off their land to another land to erase the races that were there before and replace them, that is a genocide.
I believe that you're taking away the context and making a very extreme general statement that is not applicable to material conditions in the world.
So you can't answer. I'm just going to answer the question. You didn't answer my question.
It's a fake question.
How is it a fake? What's a fake question?
What is a fake question? A question that doesn't serve the purpose of actual articulation of a real concept.
This guy has no idea what the fuck's going on. What? He didn't respond to any fucking questions, dismisses all of them, pretends to suck a dick in an alleyway, and starts screaming about sucking NATO cock. Fucking calls people Nazis, and yelled about Color Revolution George Soros funded anytime Dylan tried to say anything for like 5 minutes. He is not interested in having a productive conversation.
I wanted to get what your definition of genocide is then.
The definition of genocide is all the people that are in the world that are not based. Dying is okay, and all the people in the world that are based, dying is not based, and that is a genocide.
This feels like Mein Kampf remixed for Zoomers, what you just said.
if there is a society,
This literally just sounds like Zoomer Hitler. We need to kill all the not based people and keep all the based people. You just sound like what do you mean? When we're talking about ethnic groups, we're talking about the Kurds, we're talking about the Ukrainian people. These are groups with cultures and distinct histories who want to live on their own.
Which side of the world order you follow? I don't give a shit on what ethnicity you are, or what gender you are, or what sexuality you have, or what country you were born in.
You do care about people's sexuality. You do care because you called her a whore for being Ukrainian.
Shut up. There are two groups. There are two groups of people. There are people that are aligned with the anti-imperialist forces in the world, and there are people who are aligned with the imperialist forces in the world. And I don't care what gender or race or sexuality or ethnicity or any other subgroup you are.
Then why'd you call her a whore then? If you don't care about her sexuality, just criticize her points.
Because she's aligned. Look, I would call her a fucking purist if she was on the right side.
But because she's left-wing, you called her a whore, basically.
Because she's on the side of the imperialist, I called her a whore.
You said you got passed around like a spliff.
And you know what?
These aren't critiques. You're just acting like a bully on the internet.
Goddamn right, because I am a bully on the internet.
But nowhere else. Everybody else bullies you like Caleb. Caleb made you his bitch. You realize that, right? Like you moved across the country.
Me back.
You called me a bitch. You moved across the country to join a cult, and then immediately when the cult falls out of favor, you just join another cult. Like you're gonna be jumping from cult to cult to cult.
Infrared community a cult.
I didn't call the infrared community a cult. No. I don't know about. Look, I don't know if the infrared community a cult. I don't know enough about the infrared community a cult. That was like a banshee scream.
You just attack the infrared community.
No, I attacked Russia. I believe if you support the Russian government line at this point, it's cult behavior. Definitely as a Westerner. Like, you're not even, like, being force-fed this propaganda. You went out of your way to drop one establishment position to just grab another establishment position, but in Russia, right?
Ukraine, it's cult behavior.
If you support Ukraine, it's cult behavior. Why is that?
Because supporting Ukraine is a cult. Just like
what is a cult?
Supporting vaccine mandate was a fucking cult.
Can you define what a cult is?
No matter who is a fucking cult.
What's a cult?
Vote blue no matter who. The vaccine mandate.
You're not.
All these things are cults.
What did you think about the death of the Heavenly 100? You don't know what that is, do you?
Totally blank. He has no fucking idea.
I don't care.
Okay, so again, you know nothing about Euromaidan.
Fucking Nazi.
But,
and basically a cult. Because you're in a fucking cult of Ukraine.
The cult of Ukraine. That sounds awesome. We get to like hang out with Georgians and like Chechen rebels and stuff.
Then I say the cult of Ukraine, you're like based.
Yeah.
God, you're fucking. I'm not going to say the word I want to say because it will get me censored and down the road here.
Okay, so was it like a slur?
Yes.
Can you message me it if you're brave enough to?
R word, if you really need to.
Oh, you mean
the R slur? Yep. Of course.
You mean retarded? Okay, got you.
Oh, so you're willing to say that on your fucking streams? I'm surprised. Oh, naturally, I'm not surprised when Twitch doesn't fucking ban you.
Retarded? You don't get banned for saying retard on Twitch.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's not a bannable offense. Like if you go to somebody with mental disabilities and you start saying retard, like then like you're gonna get banned. But there's like a ton of people like still use it. I try not to. I try to stop myself. But like I was a kid and like I'm a kid. We called each other names on the playground and it stuck with me. Sadly, same with spastic stuff like that.
Like no, in like all seriousness, what are the banned words? So I don't say them. You know.
Like usually racial slurs, basically.
Okay,
just don't say racial slurs.
So I could never say the word Angloid, right?
I don't really. Yeah, I think you'll get away with that. You can say that.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Okay, got you. Huh, man. Okay, so what did you think of the Tatushki, man? What did you think of them?
As I said before, I don't care.
Do you know what they are?
I don't care.
Okay, so you don't know what they are. I'm asking your opinions about Ukrainian society because we're supposed to have a debate apparently, and you're not answering my questions.
In Russian society that's been co-opted.
Okay, so whatever you want to call it, what do you think of the Tatushki?
I think that Russia is based.
That's not answering my question at all. You didn't even like attempt to engage with it.
Russia is based.
Okay, so are you saying what the Tatushki did was based? Like
I think Russia is based.
Okay, that's not, again, like you're just saying I like Russia and I don't know anything about Ukraine. That's the message I'm getting right now.
I don't give a shit about Ukraine. It's just part of Russia that should go back to Russia.
Really?
Yes.
Do you think America should just go back to the UK?
I think that the United States should go and invade Canada and complete the War of 1812.
Okay, why?
Because fuck the British Crown, fuck monarchy.
What would be the material changes that the Canadians would see under American
Not
occupation?
having a fucking monarch on their money, first of all.
Okay, so
Second,
you
that would-
believe the leader of the Anglo whatever multinational European Nazi regime should invade other countries to replace their governments?
I think the United States and Canada should join together and build a communist society in which you have, the forces of production increase dramatically, so we can effectively build a better society for the true American peoples.
What if Canadians don't want to be part of America?
Then they're not Americans, and Canada shouldn't exist because it's just a British colony with extra steps.
So because it's a British colony with extra steps. Okay, how much authority does the Crown have over Canada today? How much authority? How much authority does the Crown have? This is an ambitious plan. Look, I wish we took Canada in the War of 1812. We'd be a lot bigger. It'd be a lot cooler. And I could I could dabble in the British more. Okay, and I love doing that. Okay, but again, what do you do if the Canadians say no? Because that's probably what they're going to say. That's the first thing. Second, wait.
Hold up. I'm going to answer your question. Then you have a bunch of volunteers for the World Land Bridge.
So why did you answer that question, but none of my other questions?
Volunteers for the world. Wow. Either forced labor or mass killing is what he's implying there. That's...
Because that's probably what they're going to say. That's the first thing. Second, wait.
Hold up. I'm going to answer your question. Then you have a bunch of volunteers for the World Land Bridge.
So why did you answer that question, but none of my other questions?
Because it's not about America, man.
Because it's not. What do you mean it's not about? So invading Canada is not about America.
No, invading America is about America. I'm saying that.
What do you mean invading America? You mean invading Canada is a proposal.
The only position that Americans should have on the whole Ukraine war situation is that the United States should get the fuck out of there. We shouldn't supply any resources, no money, no weapons, no food, no medical aid, no fucking other types of fucking equipment for strategic purposes.
As an actual communist and anarchist, I vehemently disagree. We should be supplying food and medical aid and support to a people being invaded by a fascist government. That's kind of a mutual aid thing. I mean, it's being done by the state, so not really, but it serves somewhat the same purpose in getting them resources they need for this conflict. It's monetized on our end, which is not mutual aid. I don't know how much the medical stuff is. The guns definitely are.
Nothing. Okay. And we should be insular when it comes to this whole war with fucking Ukraine and Russia.
But then we take those resources and invade Canada.
Well, invade Canada, build up our country, build a new American communist society.
You know, this would probably lead to hundreds of thousands of deaths in Canada, right?
If Canada does not want peacefully absorbed, then we'll be in the situation that it might cause some deaths, and that will be tragic. But it will be for the better good, or the betterment of all of
Nazi.
American society.
Okay, but what about Canadian society?
It will be for their betterment too, because then they'll be Americans.
That's not how this traditionally goes with occupation forces like this. I mean, that's what the Nazis said about the French. That's what the British said about Algeria. That's what the French said about Algeria.
Over Canada in a week.
What? Okay, but then there's going to be resistance for years. Did you see what Quebec did? Quebec. Do you remember Quebec?
Work on the World Land Bridge.
You want to annex a bunch of Quebec speakers into America, right? You know how it is in Quebec and how they feel about sovereignty, right? Do you think this is going to go well?
I mean, lots of volunteers. We'll get that World Land Bridge built pretty quickly.
Well, the vast majority of Americans have no interest in invading Canada. How are you gonna encourage Americans to pick up a gun and go shoot people get people from Buffalo to kill people a mile away in Canada that they have family with? There's family over these borders. They don't want to kill each other.
As soon as they realize how base it is, they'll follow right along.
I don't think you've even made an argument for how it's going to improve their lives.
It is going to improve their lives. They're going to be able to go and travel anywhere in the world because the World Land Bridge is going to exist at that point.
We could do that with a plane.
Yeah, but planes are mediocre and pathetic. We need trains, really fast trains.
So we're going to go kill millions of Canadians so we can have fast trains to China.
Yes.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's the most brilliant thing. It's fucking...
No.
They're going to just blow up the train. It's going to look like the Kerch Bridge and very quickly.
Man, fucking genius.
They're going to blow up the train in 5 seconds. Every Canadian resistance
group. Volunteer to build another fucking train.
Do you think Americans right now are feeling like they want another war?
I'm thinking that Americans will realize how based it would be to have Canada under.
Is this serious or is this like a joke? Is this serious?
This is incredibly based, is what it is.
The same Nazi, like same tier of arguments as Nazis, especially when they start getting blown the fuck out. Except he hasn't even been able to engage the entire time, and has been acting like this the entire time.
Okay, so you don't want to talk about Euromaidan. You didn't want to talk about whether a Russian who has swastikas all over themselves and Zikals is a Nazi. So I'm trying to figure out what left I could talk to you about. I guess I could ask you. So you said that Ukraine committed it. Okay.
I have something we could do. Okay.
Could I quickly cover this first, and then we'll move? Then we can cover that.
It would be incredibly based if we developed something called Fusion City.
Okay. You know what? I play SimCity. If you want to play SimCity with me on like some other game, we can play SimCity another day.
Fusion energy. We create a part in somewhere in the Midwest of the country, right? Similar to how the UN, where it's considered international territory, and all the world scientists can go to the Fusion City, and they can fucking develop fusion energy and other advanced technologies to launch human society forward. Because remember, I'm a human supremacist.
Okay. I mean, I have no real thoughts on Fusion City. I mean, I like science. I'm very pro science. I think we should invest more into science. So, like, if the question is like, are you pro science still in favor of more scientific products, like investment? My answer to that's going to be yes. Very pro science. Most global elites are, by the way.
Coming out and endorsing Fusion City. Am I hearing you correctly?
I don't know enough about Fusion City particularly, but sure, why not? To make you happy.
That could ever happen. It would launch not just the human species forward, but it would launch Americans.
If I say yes. Well, do you promise to answer my next question?
Depends on what your next question is.
Well, then I can't say yes. I'm trying to negotiate to you about the future Fusion City right now. I'm trying to create Fusion City, and you're undercutting it.
And support and endorse Fusion City, man. God damn. You just don't support anything good.
I'm telling you, I will support it if you promise to answer a question.
I can't make a promise.
Come on, how are you gonna bring communism to America if you can't coalition build? Come on.
I'm not going to coalition build with you.
Well, yeah, you're not going to coalition build with anyone, but it's like I'm just like the proposal.
I'm going to build with actual based people, and you're not based.
Okay, you mean like Caleb Maupin?
No, he was a sex pest, but that's besides the point.
Gotcha. Okay. Is the reason why you really don't like Ukraine is because the way Caleb Maupin wanted to get spanked is the way Russia's getting spanked right now?
Actually, Ukraine is getting spanked. I mean, the Russia now has like thousands of miles of territory back in its country. Did not have
they wanted to take the whole country in 3 days. This is a quagmire. This is like saying it's 2019 and America controls most of Afghanistan. Like, come on.
The Russians expect all of these all these resources being dumped.
You mean 1.7% of NATO's military budget?
1.7.
1.7%. Yes.
Really argue that how many billions of dollars? Like we spent a $50 billion bill.
1.7 billion of NATO's annual military budget. Yes, that's what I'm saying right now.
The United States has sent well over what you're referring to.
Okay, do you know what NATO's military budget is?
Way too fucking big.
Okay,
and in fact, NATO shouldn't exist.
Yeah, it's very big, which is why I'm saying it's 1.7%. It's very.
NATO shouldn't exist. So
you're not okay, but it's just a very small percentage of NATO's overall actual strength.
NATO shouldn't even exist.
I disagree with you. Whatever. So I'm talking to you about NATO's military budget now.
What? Did you just say that you agree NATO shouldn't exist?
I said it should exist.
What? Okay. Never mind. You're retarded.
You're outraged. You're outraged at both my saying it doesn't exist or should exist. Like there's no answer that I can win here. But I wanted to ask you about.
You're not going to win against the Yankee Tankie.
Okay, thank you. You have said on multiple occasions that Ukraine is engaging in a genocide in the Donbass, right? You said they genocided 13,000 people, correct?
I mean, at some point, not recently, but I have said that. Yes.
You said that on multiple occasions. Do you have anything to back that up?
Literally all of our last 8 years of fucking history? Like, what?
That's not a source. I'm asking you if you're how confident are you exactly that like they've genocided 13,000 people?
Denying genocide.
What?
You're denying a genocide.
I am denying that this is genocide, yes.
What?
Do you want to know why I deny that this is a genocide? Okay. The reason I deny it's a genocide is the 13,000 number that you referred to on many occasions, and I think really points out the level of ignorance you have when it comes to this war. 13,000
No, it's
is
not ignorance. You're fucking
13,000.
denying
Let me
You're
say what I'm about to say. No, Russia agrees with what I'm about to say, and so you're disagreeing with Russian official military casualties when you're about to listen to what I'm about to say. The 13,000 number. The 13,000. You gotta. If you're scared, are you scared of being shown to have lied about genocide? Is that what it is? Or are you just gonna yell on me, speak over me? The 13,000 number. Okay, I'm gonna do this. So the 13,000 number actually comes from the total amount of casualties that took place in the last 8 years in the Donbass. This includes Russian military casualties. This includes Ukrainian civilian casualties. This includes Ukrainian military casualties. This includes basically everybody who's died in the Donbass over the last 8 years. And so that would mean in that 13,000 number you've put forward for the people that Ukraine has genocide includes Ukrainian soldiers. Ukrainian soldiers. So are you saying that the Ukrainian government genocided Russian speakers by getting shot by Russian-backed forces? That's not a genocide. That's just combat. That would be like me saying 80 million people were killed in the Holocaust. That's not true. That's the total amount of casualties that took place during the war. The 13,000 is just the total amount of military casualties that took place in East Ukraine. You don't...
He's denying a genocide.
You're not responding to anything.
He is a genocide denier.
It's not a genocide.
He's a genocide denier. He's a genocide denier. Dylan Burns denies the genocide of the Donbass region.
Oh my God.
Did Russia genocide Ukrainian soldiers?
No.
But the 13,000 numbers includes Ukrainian military casualties. So how did those soldiers get 13? Yes, it does. This is yes, the 13,000 number is the total amount of people who've died in the Donbass over the last 8 years. So that's why when you say they genocided 13,000 people, you're talking about their own soldiers, my guy. Like, that's ridiculous. This is just like a fact. This isn't even like a debatable. Like, Russia agrees to these numbers.
And it is a fact that you are a genocide denier.
If you make
Wait.
up a fake genocide, I will deny that it happened. Yes.
You are a genocide denier, and it's not a fake genocide. It's a real genocide. You just don't want to come to terms with that material reality in front of you.
Why? Okay, so where did the 13,000 number come from then?
Where it's reliable.
Which is?
What it is.
I'm asking you for a source because I'm saying you're wrong.
I'm not going to accept my source.
Provide me any source, anything.
The Russian government. That is the source.
Okay, the Russian government. So you say, but the Russian government source includes?
No, it doesn't.
Ukrainian. Yes, it does. I checked it. I double checked it. Yes.
I don't care if you checked it. You're wrong.
So the Russians are lying. What? So military casualties are not genocide. They're just military casualties. So you're willing to call everybody a Nazi, call everything a genocide.
You know, not that I'm saying that somebody should have, but I would not have minded if somebody came out there, yelled at him to shut up, and punched him.
Genocide, even when it isn't a genocide. We call everybody racist, everybody's fascist, everybody's this, everydy's that. Like, I remember you saying you hate cancel culture. You say you hate cancel culture, but it feels like you're engaging in it constantly. Like, you're a Nazi, you're a Nazi, you're a Nazi, you're a fascist, you're a fascist, you're a genocide denier, you do genocide.
You cancel the people that are fucking Nazis, and you shouldn't cancel the people that are not Nazis. And your problem.
So what about Rusich? What do you think of Rusich? Because you deny that Russian Nazis even exist.
There was no genocide of Russian people.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. Okay, fantastic.
There was only a genocide of the Donbass region.
What do you mean genocide a region? You can't genocide a landmass. You genocide people. What does that even mean? How do you genocide a landmass? Fucking shooting the mountains. You fucking blow up trees.
It means I'm right in your role.
Wow.
I literally don't know
Russia
how he
is
does
based.
it. He's fucking...
Did you say Prussia?
Russia is based.
Uh-huh. What do you think about their policies towards homosexuals?
It's not the job of Westerners to dictate what other countries.
Okay. So what if I said, well, let's say there was a genocide in Ukraine against Russian people. What if I said, why should I care? It's not my job as a Westerner to even be against it. Like I should just live in my Western world.
Support the U.S. stop funding the fucking Ukrainian Nazi government. That's what you should do.
I think we should double it. Send them longer range missiles. We need to. I have personally funded. Let me be clear. I've personally funded body armor, medical dressings, Ukrainian military vehicles, all of this stuff because I am opposing the Russian colonization of Ukraine.
You support genocide.
I do, really.
Wow.
You're making genocide such a pointless word. It has an actual definition, right? And none of your definitions meet what you claimed is happening in the Donbass.
You support that genocide.
There's no genocide. There's no genocide for me to even support.
Yeah, you support that genocide.
There is no genocide.
Yeah, there is a genocide.
Prove
It's
it. Prove it. If you ask me, prove the Holocaust happened. I could send you documents, piles of documents, piles of photos, everything, because it happened.
I'll prove it right now. All right, you're wrong.
He's so fucking dumb. He's not even.
You know, you're just like the equivalent of like, you know, those people you cross on like the side of the road. You feel bad for them, and they're like, you know, they're sitting there, they're going through tough times. You know, I've had a lot of family members in a similar position, and you can see like their brain is starting to like decompose to a level. They're like still there, but like they respond to things kind of slower. And like you're like the person just yelling on the side of the road, right? You're like the person. The end is near. But you just want to like invade Canada and like make up fake genocides that never happened, and like
not true.
Absolutely
You
true.
are a Nazi. You are a fascist. You support the neoliberal.
What Dylan doesn't realize is that the Yankee Tankie is currently looking into a mirror as he says these things. He's just looking at it. You are a Nazi. You are a fascist.
Economic
why is it
system.
that most Nazis hate me?
Most Nazis hate you? No, they don't. They love you.
They don't like me because of my relationships with men. They don't like me because of my relationships with Jews. They don't like me because of my progressive policies when it comes to race and sexuality.
21st century are pro-LGBTQ.
Nazis are pro-LGBTQ.
No, they
21st
aren't.
century, correct.
That's just delusional. There's
No,
there's no neo-Nazi organization, there's no openly Nazi organization on the planet that's gonna be pro-gay unless you're on 4chan.
Why is there so many gay and trans people supporting Ukraine?
Because Ukraine's not a Nazi state. I'm happy
It is a Nazi state.
It isn't.
They are Nazis.
You can't just
These
change the
people-
definition of Nazi to call
Gay and
everyone
trans
a
people
Nazi.
that support Russia, base. Gay and trans people that support Ukraine are Nazis. Full stop.
You just like calling people names, don't you?
I like calling people that are Nazis. That's correct.
Wow.
But he doesn't know what a Nazi is, so.
You know the word Nazi is worthless now, right? It's become worthless. When everyone's a Nazi, nobody
I had
is.
family that died in the Holocaust, like I said prior. So
Did you say I denied the Holocaust?
no, I said that I had family who died in the Holocaust prior. So
Okay.
no,
And yet you say Hitler was a Jew. And yet you say Hitler was a Jew.
Right now, you're being really anti-Semitic.
He's absolutely lying right now. He's lying out of his fucking ass. He's trying everything to try and pull up cancel culture bullshit.
Am I really?
Yes, you are.
Well,
You are being.
that's very unfortunate. I'm sorry. I don't really sympathize when you're saying Hitler was a Jew.
Yeah, well, he was. So
He just wasn't. This is not true.
he was.
Provide any source on this. Anything.
Me right here.
You were
Here you go.
so you were close personal friends with the rabbis who like taught Hitler like.
There was a bunch of rabbis recently that like Jewish Orthodox that went out against Ukraine, calling it a Nazi state. What do you have to say?
The vast majority of Jewish organizations internationally support Ukraine, and the Jewish organizations in Ukraine generally support Ukraine. I mean, Jews are like different people, you know. Some support certain nations. Some
are supporting Ukraine.
Did you know a ton of international organizations also supported Euromaidan? A ton of Jewish international and domestic Ukrainian organizations.
Well, that's a real shame to find out that so many people that lead these organizations are actually Nazis.
You know, there wasn't like any like Jewish hate crimes that occurred during that time, during the Euromaidan protests, right? Like when the endorsements started coming out from Jewish organizations, there wasn't a single one in like 3 months. And all these Nazis running around didn't hurt a single Jew. You know, light of the long knives. If you look at like Nazi like SA violence, they targeted the Jews pretty deliberately. Then the Nazis elect a Jew. So what Nazis do you know that vote for Jews? It just doesn't make sense.
But they did, because it's not about Jewish people anymore.
It is. The Nazism is inherently about Jewish people.
No, not anymore. Not the 20.
It absolutely is. It is impossible to separate Nazism from anti-Semitism. You might be able to separate fascism in some capacities, but you cannot separate Nazism from anti-Semitism. They're integral. They're integral to each other.
Yes, anti-Semitism is the core component of Nazism.
No, they're not. Not in the 21st century.
Is there anybody outside of maybe Alexander Dugin who's going to back this up? By the way, what do you think of Dugin?
He's also based.
Okay,
I don't agree with him entirely, but he's incredibly based.
Is there
Fascist.
anything that you particularly disagree with him? Like you would say he's generally based. Generally.
I would disagree with his interpretation of how, third positionists being actual fascist are in the same category of Sorry, I got distracted from my friend that just walked outside his house. Okay, so I disagree with Alexander Dugin when he says that third positionists are or political fascists are in the same category as like communists, which he refers to the second position. So I disagree with that. I think he's right in believing the first position, liberals, are the main enemy of the 21st century. I agree with him in that.
What do you think about his position on race war?
Genuinely don't know his position on race war, admittedly, but
Have you read any of his books and
I'm
stuff?
not going to take your word for what you think his position is
Can
on
I-
race war.
I can
So-
just read you his direct quote if you want.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead. If you're going to read directly as an actual quote.
Okay, it's from The Foundations of Geopolitics. It's a book he released in 1999. This basically set out the framework for Eurasianism, which he believes like Russia is a unique state due to its geography. I'm sure you probably know all this, being somebody who's, I think infrared community is pretty big on him. 1 second, let's see if I can bring it out. I have this dumb Google Doc because I read the book and I take notes when I read books because I'm a nerd. Where is it? Azerbaijan. Da-da-da-da. Okay, here it is. This is a plan for the United States. It is generally important to introduce geopolitical chaos within the American daily experience by encouraging all manner of
It's baby time. Hi, baby. Hi, baby.
separatism, ethnic diversity, social and racial conflict, and actively supporting every extremist dissident movement, racist sectarian group, and destabilizing the political processes within the United States. So in this script, he's talking about supporting racists that he, would end up meeting with people like David Duke of the Ku Klux Klan, and that we need to support them because it would cause chaos, then it would be race war and all these things, and then it could allow Russia to get geopolitical dominance. Now me, as an American, which you are also, I don't want to shoot my neighbor. I don't want my neighbor to shoot me, and I would not like a race war because I'm going to be honest, most minority groups would probably not do well under those conditions, and they'd probably get slaughtered massively. And so I don't want that. And so I think Alexander Dugin is willing to really stoop to the lowest of the low in order to bring down the United States, including promoting things like racial conflict.
Okay, so here's my response to that. Alexander Dugin is in a position in Russia where they have dealt with the ramifications of the collapse of the Soviet Union and historical oppression.
Apologia. He's gonna just fucking write it off and be like, well, the historical oppression of the United States makes it okay for him to try and call for a race war to destabilize the USA.
By Western imperialists. Do I agree with him trying to advocate for that? No. But I understand why he is doing that. Because Russia is in a position that any way to destabilize the United States, to push it away from the direction of oppressing Russia and oppressing other countries that Russia wants to do business with, that wants to sell natural gas, wants to be able to sell oil, etc. Obviously, he's going to advocate for a position that pushes the United States away from power and push the Russian governments into a position where they have to, or rather, that they're able to actually improve their material conditions in Russia. So,
the logic is he wants to.
I understand why he has it.
Well, yeah, I understand why he has it. I understand why a lot of people believe a lot of things. But I can't, in my mind, as an American, equalize in my head calling somebody based when they're calling for a race war in my country. Because to me, they're advocating for my destruction.
Here's the reality, okay? As the United States moves into worse material conditions, it's going to be easier for actual communists to take power. That's just the fact of the situation. Historically speaking, that is how it has always happened.
But they never took power, though.
He's not an actual communist. I would fight against people like Yankee Tankie if they tried to take power. I would not allow them. Because whatever the infrared mopping communities, whatever power they would attain is worse than what we currently have today. I guarantee it.
But they have taken power in the Soviet Union. They've taken power in China. Communists have taken power in Vietnam. They've taken power in the DPRK. They've taken power in Laos. They've taken power in Venezuela. They've taken power in Nicaragua. They've taken power in Cuba. They've taken power in many other countries in the world.
Okay, can you name a country that also people would want to move to?
In the Western perspective or in the international perspective? Because that's an important nuance.
I said people. You're a human supremacist.
Okay, so we're talking about in the international context.
People, as human beings, all around the world.
Around the whole world. Okay. I would argue that most people would want to move to China. Most people would want to move to the former Soviet Union during its heyday. I would argue that most people would actually want to move to countries like Vietnam, the DPRK, when they actually understand the material conditions in their country and how much it is better in these countries if you are
totalitarian countries with lower standards of living, generally less life expectancy, except for in Cuba, lower literacy rates, less food, all this other bad shit. Yeah, no, I don't think. No, America's where they want to move.
For someone who needs healthcare, that needs an education, that needs a steady job, that needs like food on a consistent.
Or Japan, but Japan's pretty xenophobic, so that doesn't really happen. Or France. That's generally where people, like, it's Ireland, people move there. But I don't know of many people who want to immigrate to the DPRK or move to China. I mean, some people move to China, but you know.
Consistent basis, that wants to actually be able to, have a proper life as a working class person. Most people, when they actually understand the conditions that existed or currently still exist in both former and existing socialist communist countries, they would actually want to move there.
Why was there a Berlin Wall, and to in large part stop people from fleeing East Germany?
It was there because there was an influence of the U.S. imperialists were basically destabilizing Eastern Germany and the Soviet bloc. We see that this is a condition that existed in not just, in Germany, but also as a condition that existed in China, existed in the former Soviet Union, existed in, or still exists in countries like Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba. These countries are bombarded by U.S. imperialists, whether it's from literal blockades and embargoes, or in a lot of situations, just trying to set up revolutions and destabilize the country as a whole.
But if people want to go to the Soviet Union, why did the Soviets have to stop people from leaving?
Boom. Because Stalin was a fucking mass murderer. And he didn't want victims to get away. And also for people to be able to tell the truth about their medical system not being very well supplied and all this other shit.
They were forced into a situation that they had to basically build the Berlin Wall to basically
They didn't have to.
Yes, they did. They had to. Otherwise, you would have experienced a much more of a impactful social collapse that would have existed in these countries.
Well, yeah, because they were managing it poorly.
They were not managing it poorly. You had the U.S. imperialists. It was forcing them to increase their military budget.
It wasn't. They were. The thing is, the United States, America, the United States and West Germany, they spent a lot of money on military. We spent money on the Marshall Plan. The Soviets spent a lot of money on military. We both spent a lot of money on military. But the difference is, the living standard in West Germany was so much better than in East Germany. I would rather be a West German than an East German any day of the week. Also, you say that. No, let me gotta finish. You're talking about how the Soviet Union wanted to. It was getting destabilized by the West, East Germany particularly. You know that the Soviet Union tried to destabilize West Germany all the time. I mean, there were like terror attacks and stuff, right? There were terror attacks in East Germany. West Germany. There's. Okay.
Okay. Are you done?
No.
Okay.
There were terror attacks in West Germany.
Are you done?
No.
I'll just keep fucking doing it until you shut up.
No. Dance for me.
Point being, when you look at the conditions that existed in the former Soviet Union, they were forced into this position to increase their
They were not.
military budget to fund for these things. The reason why the United States can fund their military budget without there being as much of an impact, generally speaking, throughout the U.S. As a imperialist power, is because the United States extracts their wealth from the global South and Far East. And because of that extraction, they have more money to be able to pay a well-paid
Yes, so does fucking Russia. So did the USSR.
labor aristocracy. So that labor aristocracy is willing to not have solidarity with the lower part of the working class and their struggle against capitalism as a whole, making it that they can have an overall larger society that's more stable, right? Now, that labor aristocracy is going away. So now we're in a position in the United States in the 21st century that we're no longer going to be able to actually fund this labor aristocracy. Thus meaning there isn't a stable working class society. And thus meaning we're in a position as communists, like communists were during the Great Depression, to build a coalition to create better material conditions for American society, right? By that situation being a thing, we are in a better position as communists.
Why is it that when the Soviet Union collapsed, all the countries abandoned the Soviet Union? They all just were yowdy, goodbye.
It was like a gravitational force that allowed countries to actually have effective communist parties. It allowed there to be more effective labor movements. This is part of the
No,
reason
I'm
why.
asking, why did everyone ditch it? Why did all the East Germans wanted to leave? They were stopped from leaving. And when the Soviet Union started to collapse, there wasn't like some, all the people came to the streets to save communism. It was the people who came out and stopped the Russian tanks from trying a military coup to reinstate the old style after the Glasnost policy. I forget the exact wording of it. I can't pronounce anything Russian.
The facts are that the real situation was when the Soviet Union was not able to maintain itself. The reason why so many countries abandoned the Soviet Union was because at that point, the Soviet Union was a reformist country. You know, the reality was after Stalin died, the Soviet Union didn't have a real connection to the basis of the Soviet population. So it created conditions that worsened. So a lot of people thinking that life would be better.
People fucking hated Stalin. They fucking hated him.
Away from the Soviet Union at that point, were thinking under false premises that it would be better for their countries, for their societies, to abandon communism.
Why do you think if Western style democracy has failed so much in like places like Ukraine, right? Which Ukrainians are fighting very hard right now to preserve. Why is it that Soviet style political parties cannot win in these elections? They just can't win, and they're not that popular.
Because Soviet-style communist parties isn't what we should be advocating for in the first place. We should be advocating for communist parties based on these countries' material conditions. Now, in the case of Ukraine, that means rejoining Russia, and eventually, when Putin passes away from whatever causes him to pass away, that the Communist Party of Russia is able to actually regain power and reform the Soviet Union. Okay, but in the context of the United States, you need an American socialism. In the case
you think the Soviet Union is going to be reformed?
I do think it's going to eventually be reformed, and it's incredibly base that they're moving in that direction.
They're not.
They are. It is. The Russian Communist Party is the second most popular party in Russia.
What communist policies does the Russian Communist Party advocate for on a regular basis?
They advocate for the more nationalization of the Russian economy. They advocate for using more of the public resources to benefit the Russian workers and the population. They advocate for the reformation of the Soviet.
His very first point. More nationalization is not a fucking communist policy. Nationalization isn't what you need. Worker control is what you need. He doesn't know anything about being a fucking communist. Haws and fucking Mop and ruining the great works of people like Karl Marx. Karl Marx. I like his writing. I dislike Engels vehemently. I dislike Lenin, except for State and Revolution. It's a good book. I don't like Mao. I don't even like his writing. Guerrilla warfare, I guess, isn't bad, but I didn't like it. And then other people they call socialists, like Gaddafi, are not.
Soviet Union, obviously. They advocate for a better healthcare system. There's lots of things that
the thing is, Russia today is one of the most unequal countries in Europe. Eurasia, Europe, you get the idea. I mean, it is a very unequal country. I think it has almost double the income inequality the United States have, and it has a lot of power centralized against a bunch of oligarchs who are very against communism coming back. Putin is very open. He doesn't want communism back. He acknowledges in his personal view that the Soviet Union collapsing was one of the greatest geopolitical catastrophes of the 21st century. But he is a Russian chauvinist first and foremost.
Hold up. That's not actually true. Putin actually recently at some sort of public setting, he was asked by a socialist leaning reporter whether that Nazism is an inherent reality from the creation of capitalism, wouldn't it make the most logical sense for us as Russians to move towards reestablishing communism in Russia? And Vladimir Putin has said in reply that we should take in consideration some of these more socialist policies to actually deal with the ramifications of capitalism and the reality that it will turn to Nazism.
That reformism
is like almost indistinguishable from what I hear from many social democrats. Like that's like the weakest. He has said on multiple occasions he's not a communist. He doesn't want to bring back communism. Communism failed. He says this time and time and time again. Putin is under no conditions going to be a communist. He doesn't believe in communism. He might say that to like, listen to the words. He's so vague. He's playing you. He's playing you. He just wants your support because you're one of the few people in the West who actually supports Russia, and he'll say anything possibly to get your support or their support. Listen to what he says. He says, "Oh, maybe we should take some social leaning policies into consideration." It's the most vague, uncommittal statement he could have had. What?
Vladimir Putin wants the betterment of the Russian people.
But he doesn't believe that means communism.
He believes that
everybody wants the betterment of their own people. Like, everyone wants that. Like, if you asked me, I would answer yes. If you asked you would say yes, I want the betterment of my own people. Everybody's going to answer that.
Part of the reason why you ran off to Kiev. You don't give a shit about America.
Of course I give a shit. What do you mean give a shit about America? Of course I care about the United States.
Going off overseas to fucking suck off of some Ukrainian cock. Okay? No.
What do you mean suck off you? What's with you and like fellatio? You're like very focused on it.
Well,
like, the whole conversation is like, suck dick, Dylan. Hey, I'm picturing you sucking a dick, Dylan. You're sucking so much dick in my mind right now. I mean, when I think of you, Dylan, I just think of you just blowing so many cocks. You're like so fucking fixated on it.
Fucking slut. That's what you fucking are.
I'm a slut.
Goddamn right. Fucking degenerate fucking slut bag.
I can't tell if you're flirting with me or not, but I don't respect the advance.
Well, I mean, if you think I'm flirting with you, then there might be something damaged in your fucking brain where everyone who's fucking calling you a fucking degenerate turns you on, you fucking freak.
It doesn't turn me on. I'm just concentrating on how much you seem to be up.
I don't know if you're flirting with me or not. Like,
no, the reason why is because you keep talking about like fellatio. You keep talking about oral sex, right?
I thought you're getting fucking rock hard for a while. I'm fucking trying to fucking tell you you're.
What do you mean? I'm not getting rock hard. You're just talking about me sucking penises.
Clearly, you really care so much about the fact that I'm calling you a degenerate and I'm calling other people a fucking degenerate. Something about that clearly fucking turns you on.
What do you mean it turns me on? You just keep talking about me blowing people, and it's uncomfortable, honestly. Honestly, the reason I keep bringing it up is because I'm trying to make you stop doing it because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, he's full on fucking Nazi brain and also projecting. He wants to suck dick.
You that you like sucking off Ukrainian cock or NATO cock.
This sounds like you sound like a 4chan board talking about like black penises. It's like, oh, I hate those big, veiny, throbby, and then it's like, okay, this sounds like you're actually into this. Like, it's like you keep bringing it up. Like, just stop. It's making me uncomfortable.
I mean, you fucking degenerate.
Just stop bringing up gay sex, please.
Stop being a fucking degenerate.
What do you mean? Like, stop having gay sex? Like, what do you mean? Do you want me to stop being homosexual?
I mean, that would be a great start. Having sex until you're fucking like in a steady relationship. First of all, like, stop being a fucking degenerate and fucking.
Are you in a steady relationship?
Yes, I am actually.
Are you?
No.
Yes.
No.
It's impossible for me to believe that.
It's literally impossible.
I mean, would you be attracted to the person? No. One, because you don't like women, and two.
Well, I do like women. I'm bisexual, but
whatever. Oh, you're bisexual? Okay. Very good for you, I guess. I guess you really enjoy the degeneracy coming from both ends.
Why does my sexual activity interest you so much?
It doesn't interest me. I wish just like people would stop being fucking degenerates.
But I'm not the one who's bringing up like gay sex and all these whores all the time. Like you called like my friend whores, and then you called me a degenerate, and then you started talking about sucking penises and like all this other stuff. Like I didn't bring that into this conversation. You brought it up.
That because you're a fucking degenerate.
What do you mean?
Nazis, don't you?
I'm a degenerate gay Nazi supporting the Jewish president of Ukraine in a crusade against the Russian imperial invasion.
You are. You're a fucking degenerate supporting the fucking like the fake Jewish president that is secretly
fake. What do you mean fake Jewish? What?
Yeah. Have you seen that man fucking practicing Judaism? Like really?
Do you believe like what's your standard for a real Jew and a fake Jew?
Someone who, okay, let's clarify. This is also what I view as a real atheist, a real Christian, a real Muslim, a real Jew, a real Buddhist, a real any religion, or real any ethnicity, or real any race. You don't stand with the U.S. imperialist.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever. So you cannot be Jewish if you stand with U.S. imperialists, is what you're saying.
He's so fucking dumb.
Just like you can't be.
Why is every single bad word or word in your head like it's all centered around just U.S. imperial? Like I would ask you, what's the color red? The color red is the rejection of U.S. imperial. It's like it's ridiculous.
The color red, it stands for communism.
Judaism has nothing to do with whether you support the United States or not. Like I would never go to Israelis and say you guys are all fake Jews because you are in the wrong political alignment geostrategically. That's not how faith works. Can you tell me what part of the Talmud talks about U.S. imperialism? What part of the Talmud talks about U.S. imperialism? We're gonna turn this down. Just wait for him to finish. What part of the Talmud talks about American imperialism?
We fought for the future, destroy the invaders, and brought to our homeland the laurels of fame. And glory will live in the memory of nations, and all generations will honor her name. The Soviet's motherland, built by the people's mighty hands. Oh, long
You really
live
got the whole thing memorized. Didn't even live there.
free, long in our friendship tried by fire.
You know, when you're saying like long live, it doesn't really work when the Soviet Union collapsed. It's like you say it'd be like long live King George V. It's like wait, what do you mean? Like he's what? It's like the Soviet Union's dead. What do you mean long live? It's gone. Like,
Long live the Soviet.
But it's dead. It's gone.
No, it's in our hearts.
Wow.
It's beautiful, isn't it? You can see the red sunrise in the distance.
Probably what's causing all that like heart issues in the United States. We got a lot of problems with like heartburn and like heart issues, heart failure. It's a major issue in the United States. That probably would explain it.
What would actually explain it is because our multinational corporations are doing things like adding certain preservatives to our food and adding other things that
Oh
are
my
necessary
fucking
food products
God.
that also end up destroying the health, causing cancer, heart disease, etc.
What's the rate of like heart failure in Russia or like heart issues and problems around health? And how is Russian healthcare, by the way?
It's a lot less in the United States, that's for sure.
Russian healthcare is less in the United States. What do you mean like less in what capacity?
I'm saying that the heart attack rates, heart conditions, cancer is much lower in Russia than it is in China.
You know how it's hard for me to imagine in my mind that one of the most unequal countries on earth when it comes to like distribution of wealth and pay and workers' rights and all of these different things invades Ukraine, and somehow this benefits communism.
Yes, because when you take down the imperialist, when you increase the contradictions that happen in our own country, it then leads to a vacuum that communists can actually fill.
Or it
No.
could just be like the far right, right? Like they could
Probably
just be
not.
them. Really? I mean, like the far
That's historically what happens, you fucking idiot. Holy fucking shit.
right is pretty dominant in Russia. Like Putin's pretty far right.
Like, here's the problem, because
Like Kadyrov. Kadyrov's a great example of one of the most like he's a far right maniac, right? What do you think of Kadyrov?
you're thinking through democratic institutions, and you're not thinking.
I am.
as a
You're right. I'm thinking through like a democracy guy when you're not a
No, you're
democracy
thinking
guy.
about it through like vote blue no matter who. Okay, that's how you're thinking, right? And if you think through the lens of vote blue no matter who, you would assume that the right wing of the United States was the real Nazis, and you would assume that then, therefore, the liberals, they're the progressive force fighting the Nazis.
I
But
don't
here's
think
the
either are
reality.
Nazis.
The Democrats, the blue, vote blue no matter who, they're the Nazis, and they're the actual right wing. And people
Really?
that are like part of the MAGA Republicans, they're actually more in line with, being against people like George Bush and the neocons. They're more in line with being anti-war, not when it sent billions of dollars
Really?
off the Ukraine. They're the ones that are more likely to be against the vaccine mandates, more likely to be against things like putting us all in fucking pods and making us eat bugs. Okay, because that is the standard.
That's a
That
movie.
is.
That's not gonna happen. What do you mean? Put us all in pods and eat bugs? What are you talking about?
That's called the World Economic Forum.
What do
You
you
will have
mean?
nothing.
I mean, the World Economic Forum. Goal 1, pods. Goal 2, eat
Signed
bugs.
with the Economic Forum.
Okay, and they don't want to
And
put
the
us all in
World
pods and
Economic
eat
Forum
bugs.
wants you to eat bugs and live in pods. That is what the World Economic Forum wants. They want to reduce.
So when you say that's what they want, was it like a press release? Was there like a person who spoke there?
Are you
Like,
not
what
familiar with
happened?
the World Economic Forum?
I'm
at all?
familiar with the World Economic Forum. I'm not familiar with the statement they released where the future of mankind is in bugs, like it's
They
the
want
Matrix,
to reduce
and we're gonna be in
the amount
pods.
of things-
They did put out a thing about eating bugs as a way to reduce meat consumption from other animals and to reduce factory farming that would take up like a lot of area and carbon and blah blah blah, carbon emissions and shit. The pods thing was like a fun little idea they put out. It's not something that they were like, hey, we should do this. It was just like, hey, here's an idea.
You want to reduce the lifestyles of working class people within the West, then make it so that that their material conditions are worse. They have to live off of less. And on
When did
top
I
of that,
say that I want that?
You're aligned with the same people who do, so it doesn't
Who?
matter what
Who?
the nuances of. Well, I don't believe that, and I don't believe that. and
That's how people believe some things and don't believe other things. That is how belief works.
Where you align is more important than all of these nuances. These nuances.
The spiritual line? Did you just say?
No, the alignment, who you're aligned with, matters more than these technical nuances that like liberals like to bring up.
Okay, then let's talk about alignment. What do you think of Kadyrov?
I'm aligned with Russia. That is my position, and
What do you think of Chechen
Nazi.
leader Kadyrov?
Oh, him? Yeah, he's based.
Okay. Do you think when his government put gay people in conversion camps, beat them, tortured them, electrocuted them, killed many, think that was a base thing to do or a bad thing to do?
It didn't happen.
It did happen.
It didn't happen.
You know what he responded to by that statement when he was asked about that? He said there are no gay people in Chechnya. Do you think he cares?
That's why didn't happen. There are no gay people in Chechnya. They're not a bunch of liberal cucks. That's correct.
So gay people only exist in liberal countries.
Well, I mean, statistically speaking, yeah, actually.
Why do you think?
No. They have to hide in ultra-conservative countries because people like you will kill them, you dumb fuck.
That more people are willing to admit to pollsters in America that they're gay than in Chechnya. Do you think there are some societal factors or laws in place that might disincentivize them from admitting to that in public?
Those laws are. The neoliberal establishment puts this LGBTQ liberal agenda and shoves it down society's throats.
Awesome.
And it is actually pushing for children to be at fucking these drag fucking shows and all this shit.
I don't think there's really anybody asking for kids to fuck adults.
Into the, these school curriculums. This is exactly what happens. You're right.
You're saying that there are school curriculums where they instruct children to have sex with grown men, is what you're saying.
I am saying that there is curriculums that are being put that is teaching things to the youth that are not ready to be learned.
And this is what you're going to say.
Like what? Like what? That trans people exist? You fucking bigot. Yeah, no, literally. The only reason I pulled this up is just to show he is the perfect representation of Tankie equals Nazi. Or at least fascist.
Response to me bringing up Chechnya's torture of queer people.
Because it doesn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
You said they do have gay people. There's gay people in every country on the planet.
No, there isn't.
So there's nobody in Chechnya that's attracted to man that's attracted to other men. It just doesn't exist. Why? How did that work? How did Chechnya avoid it?
They don't have a culture of pushing liberal woke ideology.
That's not how homosexuality. It's not like I look at it.
The overwhelming majority.
How do you know that?
Are people who are accepting of it due to bourgeois culture elements being pushed into their society.
Oh, this is the old Stalinist line that homosexuality is a degenerate lifestyle provided by capitalism. Capitalism is what creates it.
I'm that Stalin brought back the Orthodox Church. That was one of the most base things of Stalin.
So you thought when Stalin outlawed homosexuality, that was his base thing?
I'm a fucking atheist and I'm saying that.
That just makes you worse. That just makes you more stupid because there's no reason for you to be against gay people.
I don't have to use religion as a mechanism as a way to explain why society should be more socially conservative.
So why should
just Nazi. Got it. Yep. Okay. Dismiss him.
we get rid of the homosexuals?
We shouldn't get rid of them.
You're saying, but they don't exist in Chechnya. They do. They exist everywhere.
Oh, and to be clear, don't dismiss him just because he's a Nazi. Dismiss him because his behavior indicates he is not interested in anything besides clout chasing and being a fucking Nazi. He doesn't care about anything else. He's just a dumb fuck.
You are born. There's many people in every country on the planet. There are homosexuals on every country on the planet. It is statistically impossible for gay people not to exist in Chechnya.
You're wrong.
Because it's not culture that just makes you gay. You're attracted to men from a lot of times at very young age, completely uninfluenced by. Why do you think there's gay people who exist in the most conservative places in the world who have to flee? There's gay people in Afghanistan.
Shut the fuck up for a second. Culture does not happen overnight, okay? Culture is something that it develops over a span of hundreds to thousands to thousands of years, okay? So Chechnya and that population has not historically had any type of this bourgeois element of pushing LGBTQ kind of stuff within their society. The reason why the United States has that, the reason why countries like France and most of the Western world have that, and the reason why even in countries that are more socially progressive that have like gay and trans people, like China, for example, the reason why they have it is because fundamentally you have had a society starting from the American and French Revolution that had these elements of bourgeois degeneracy that was pushed into societies going back since the establishment of capitalism. And with the
Wrong. This guy's so fucking dumb. For one, ancient Greeks were fucking each other all over the place. Dudes ladies, didn't matter. Didn't matter. Had a penis, and were a man. You were a man with a penis, and you'd fuck another man with a penis in the butt. Didn't matter. They didn't even consider it gay to be the one fucking, only to be the one getting fucked.
Ramifications of that. We've now moved farther and farther into societies that countries like China that never had those elements originally, because of the neoliberalism that is pushed by the United States, that's pushed by the United Kingdom, that China does have a considerable amount of by percentage of people that are gay or trans or whatever. This isn't to say inherently that just being gay or just being trans is inherently wrong. But it is to say that there is a reason why it exists. And we should acknowledge why it exists.
There's no significant scientific backing to the idea that culture is the primary factor that turns people into homosexuals. There is most people who study this agree that people generally, due to exposure to certain chemical substances while in the womb, that has a transformative impact on their sexual preferences. What exactly creates homosexuality is pretty complicated. But to be clear, you could have no representation of gay people in media or bourgeois whatever, and you could 100% still have homosexuality in the society. Homosexuals exist in every country. It's not a thing about bourgeois decadence. It's a thing about being born.
It is about decadence. It is about decadence. You need to come to terms with the reality is about decadence.
It's not the reality. You're just delusional. You're just delusionally homophobic.
No, it is not delusionally homophobic. Did I say?
No, but I still think you're homophobic. Saying stuff like this is used by Nazis to genocide gay people. You are trying to cover up gay people being put into torture facilities, electrocuted, beaten. That is homophobic. Absolutely.
And it's not based in Western science.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear any of that. I don't really care to. But...
Material reality is not based on what Western scientists say.
Western science. We need more Eastern science. We need communist science, not dumb Western science. This is fucking stupid. This kind of morally... fucking dude. What is this? What do you actually believe when it comes to homosexuality? You don't actually believe moral decadence creates homosexuality. That's a stupid position. Nobody actually believes that.
I do believe that is the reality.
Come on. What do you mean the reality? Every country on the planet has homosexuality.
It is clearly obvious right there. The facts are in the United States that 100 years ago, while there was some LGBTQ folks that existed, they largely existed in the most bourgeois elements of society. They didn't exist in the most working class.
That's not wrong.
And over
That's
the
not true at all.
In the 1960s, going into the 21st century, it led to there being an increasement of gay and trans folks that exist in our society.
Wrong.
That's not how that works, man. I can give you... Okay, so this is what happens. The reason why you'll see studies from Oscar Wilde and a lot of
I don't give a shit about your fucking fake Western scientists.
Okay,
stop quoting
the fake science. I need my real true science. The one I just made up in my head, right? That's the true science, the schizophrenic voices science. I don't care. You can't just reject all of the studies and all of the information just because a Westerner did it. That's stupid. I'm not going to reject science just because a Russian did it or a Chinese person did it. That's ridiculous.
I don't believe in Western science. Come to terms with that reality.
You don't believe in science. I understand that. Fine, whatever. You believe in what science?
Real science, not Western science.
What's the difference between real science and Western science that makes the studies on homosexuality and the development of homosexuality in the womb not accurate?
It doesn't have a political agenda behind it.
So, let me be clear. The West always wanted a reason to hate queers. They always needed a reason, right? They'd make up. They would take the most delusional. They would take the most unscientifically based studies. And you can see it now with trans people. People would take the most unscientifically based studies that have small sample sizes, and they would take that and prop that over the more. Dude, you gotta shut the fuck up. If you're gonna make ridiculous statements, you gotta let people respond to them.
Is woke now.
Well, I'm gonna bomb the gay into Russia. That's my big ultimate plan. You've exposed me. Come on, man. This is ridiculous. The idea that all of the science, you gotta stop.
Imperialism is woke.
Wow. I'm gonna rainbow paint every American bomb moving forward.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're doing.
To be clear, you cannot disregard.
The bombs being dropped.
You
by
can't.
The US
I'm just gonna do this so nobody can hear you. So the problem with, and this is just so all you guys can hear it. The problem with him just rejecting all Western science, right? Even though, he's just rejecting it because he hasn't looked at the studies. He hasn't looked at the development of homosexuals in the womb or how they...
Yeah, no, see, he's absolutely fucking lost. I don't understand what the fuck's going on with Joey here. Wait, am I? Oh, good, I'm up in the top. Sweet.
grow up, or their cultural influences, or he doesn't know any of the scientific institutions that looked into this. He just wants to assume that this is just primarily cultural to explain why there's more queer people in, say, the West than there are in other countries, when the explanation could simply be some countries are more homophobic than others, and so more people are willing to admit that they're homosexuals in countries that are less homophobic than in countries that are more homophobic. Just like left-handedness. There used to be a massive culture against left-handedness in the United States, and that culture was taken and slowly done away with, and then you would see left-handedness, the percentage of left-handed people, increase. Now, that's not to say that out of nowhere, Western bourgeois degeneracy just automatically increased the amount of left-handed degenerates in the world. That'd be ridiculous. What it did show is that societal expectations upon how you're supposed to live in a world, live in the United States, whether it be through homosexuality or left-handedness, will affect the amount of people who are publicly willing to either explore their sexuality or admit that they are homosexual, bisexual, trans, etc.
A thing that should exist between two people that want to have an intimate relationship. Fuck exploring sexuality. Stop being a fucking degenerate. Stop being a degenerate. It's fucking haram. It is haram. Degeneracy is haram.
Okay, I don't care.
It is haram, and you are haram.
I don't care if I'm haram.
You are a sinful human being.
I don't care.
So sinful, so disgusting.
Okay.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm really not. I sleep
You
well.
should. If there is an afterlife, I guarantee it, my friend, you will be burning in hell.
Well, better than the Soviet Union.
The Soviet Union, better than the Soviet Union? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Okay, better than Ukraine, you fucking piece of shit.
I went to Ukraine. I enjoyed it. It was a nice time.
You should go back there and go in the front lines.
I did go to the front lines.
Lead it or whatever, you know? You really should.
You just want me to die then, huh?
Yeah, it'd probably be best if you got yourself deleted on the front line. It would probably be really good for you. You know,
you just gotta be as mean as possible because your arguments are so bad, so you gotta make up for it by being just mean. Like, you should die.
Yeah, no, this guy's a fucking piece of shit. Just a massive piece of shit, for one. For two, he's homeless. Like, he's doing this for clout so he can try and get a house, I'm sure. He claims he's squatting outside of his buddy's house right now in the alley to do this. I don't think his friend actually lives there. I think he's just threatened the people around and scared them enough to where they let him stay in between their fucking houses.
And you're a Nazi, and you're racist, and you're just name-calling. You're just name-calling.
Yeah, because I'm right. I'm right about every fucking name I'm calling you.
Wow. You know, the arrogance that comes with just, like, assuming you're right about what everybody believes and their intentions at all times will never lead to good coalition building that will lead to the post-Western, neo-Marxist, whatever the fuck state you want to create.
I want to build a coalition with degenerates.
Okay,
Like,
so...
seriously.
The problem is, most people are having premarital sex. I'm going to be honest with you. Either with your mom or your dad or whoever they're fucking, right? So it's not like... You're going to have to, like, make coalition builds with people who have premarital sex. You know, Infrared and Jackson Hinkle, they have premarital sex. Did you know that? They have premarital sex. Do you think Infrared's a degenerate?
We, just like Mao Zedong, you know, we need a cultural revolution in this country.
You know, Mao Zedong had premarital sex, too.
Well, you know what? That's really sad to hear. Mao Zedong probably shouldn't have done that.
So
but, you know,
did Stalin, by the way. He actually had sex with children. So, I mean,
okay, that's completely false.
I mean,
That
it's
is
true, but, I mean...
That is literally Nazi propaganda.
Oh, really?
You want to talk about what is Nazi propaganda?
Well,
that is
it's coming from the guy who said Hitler was a Jew. Yeah.
Like I said, if you want to talk about what's
How cold
really Nazi
is it? Cold out
propaganda,
there? You're in an alleyway. It must be cold there, right?
What?
I mean, you're in Pennsylvania. How cold is it in Pennsylvania right now?
One thing
What's the
about
weather in Pennsylvania?
This is the one thing about Nazis. Okay, if you want a real definition of what makes you a Nazi, it's spreading communist, anti-communist propaganda.
It's only
that
60? So being anti-communist makes you a Nazi?
Yes.
Okay.
Goddamn right.
So, you know Martin Luther...
This guy's not a communist. And if what he claims is communism is actually communism, and everybody the fuck else has been misinterpreting all of the theory that Marx wrote, then I wouldn't be a communist. I would fight against him. I'm an anarchist first and foremost, and he's an authoritarian dipshit.
Luther King was not a communist, correct?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he was anti-communist. He worked with people that were
He was very openly like, I am not a communist because I don't believe in atheism.
Anti-communist.
He publicly said he was not a communist.
Anti-communist.
He's not. He was a preacher. It's kind of hard to be like a preacher who believes in the divine power of God and also say that God is nothing but a hierarchy created by the bourgeois to control the poor masses.
He works with communists.
Okay.
If you work with communists, you cannot be anti-communist.
I've worked with communists.
No, you haven't.
How do you know that?
We worked with red libs, and red libs are not
Red
communists.
libs. Wow. How do you know? You don't even know the communists that I'm going to bring up. What if I showed you a picture with me and Ho Chi Minh? I was on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. I was smuggling weapons for the Viet Cong. You don't know the type of stuff I was involved in my youth.
Fuck, boy, you weren't even alive then.
No, I was smuggling weapons on the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Okay, and then I was also personally working with Stalin when he was robbing the banks. Okay, like the fuck.
Mm-hmm. That sounds about right.
Point being, there's no way that you've worked with actual fucking communists.
It depends on the issue. Like, for example, when the Proud Boys came to Maryland, right? Everybody who isn't like a far right maniac.
Not with you fucks. That's part of the fucking
What?
problem. That's what we're trying to fucking change. We want the fucking Proud Boys on our side. We want the fucking
this
militia on our side, not on yours.
This is a Pennsylvanian opinion, okay? That this explains this, okay?
Pennsylvania is the most incredibly based state in the country. Philadelphia was the original capital, and the capital should go back to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
Delusional. Just fully delusional. He knows almost nothing.
Nah, it isn't. But anyway,
It should.
sure, buddy. So the thing is, the fucking whole state's just a square. The thing is with
Base. That's what it is. Pennsylvania, most base state. Fuck Maryland. You know what? Maryland's the only state we should remove from the fucking union.
wow, why?
Because it's fucking Maryland and you like it.
Okay, got you.
Mm-hmm. Goddamn right.
Is it because I like men that you're fine with Kadyrov putting them in camps?
No, I don't care that you like men. I just want you to
Yes,
stop
he does.
having sex out of a steady relationship because it's degeneracy.
Are you scared that I'm going to populate the world with so many neo-lib cucks that it's going to
No,
be
I'm
impossible
not.
to have a revolution?
You suck more dick than you eat pussy, so
What?
you suck more dick than you eat pussy, so I'm not worried about
Why?
you.
Well, how would you even know that?
I know that because you're fucking Dylan Burns.
What does that even mean?
It means you're Dylan Burns.
Dylan's a new gay though. He's a baby gay.
Do I have a reputation of being just particularly queer?
Have a reputation of being Dylan Burns.
Is sucking dick a bad thing? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm just saying that you cannot repopulate the earth.
So
if you're just-
why do you think I do again? I don't know why you're thinking about this again, but why do you think that I do more stuff with men than women?
I mean, look at you.
What is that supposed to mean?
It is exactly what it's supposed to mean. What I just said.
Dylan has fucked more women than this guy's ever spoken to. I almost guarantee it. I mean, I don't know if they're still together, but Katarana?
So
Look at you.
is it like the long hair, or is it the what is it?
I'm not going to give you any specifics. I'm just going to say, look at you, and tell me that motherfucker.
I mean, with the way you're talking about me, I bet you look at me a lot, man. I just don't know how you're looking at me, man.
Actually, I'm not looking at you right now because we're all on a chat with Discord, and like I look at you. So
Wow,
You
you
know?
really got me there.
I have your camera on Discord, so I'm not looking at you right now. I'm looking at myself.
Yeah, you
Handsome
should do that
fucker.
more.
Fucking handsome. Look at that fucking beard, man. You can tell the Yankee Tankie, the fucking Yankee Tankie's fucking winning with this beard right now, man. Like, look at that, fucking luscious.
He looks
So
disgusting and
if
greasy.
we go back to this list of things, you refuse to answer any questions about Euromaidan, whether
Yeah.
it be about any of the association agreements or Yanukovych trying to outlaw protesting or any of that stuff, right? You have
Yes.
zero interest because you don't know anything about it, right?
No, I have zero interest because I don't give a fuck.
Okay, yeah, I can tell. You wouldn't admit that you lied about the 13,000 being genocided in the Donbass. You wouldn't provide any source to back it up, and wouldn't admit that number includes Ukrainian military casualties.
Iran is based. Venezuela is based.
Iran is based.
is
Iran
based.
is
Cuba
so far away
is
from being
based.
based.
Laos is based.
Iran is based.
Not based. Ukraine.
Do you believe that Soleimani was based when he organized militias that would execute children in Syria?
Didn't happen.
That did happen. It's widely documented.
Russian problem.
You can't just deny every bad thing that a country that's not America does.
I literally can and I will.
So you just will deny it because it's not America's friend that did it.
97% of the vote, just like I said in Bosch, like on my fucking debate with him. Fucking Iran is incredibly based, has never done anything wrong. Syria is incredibly based, has never done anything wrong. Russia is incredibly everything wrong. It don't exist.
Day 250, you can't just keep denying it.
Because the U.S. sends billions of dollars to it. If the U.S. didn't send billions of dollars to it, Ukraine would have been taken over like that.
The weapons that were sent didn't arrive until a good month into the war, the vast majority of them. They were stopped out of Kiev before the vast majority of Western weapons arrived in Ukraine. Most of the weapon systems Ukraine is working off of still to this day are Soviet-era system, SPG-9, anti-armor, like... Yeah, yes, they still have a stockpile of Soviet-era weapons. If you, like, I didn't see a lot of, like, American guns. It was mostly, like, AKs. Like, SPG-9s are everywhere. They're still, did you know they're still producing, they were still producing SPG-9s at the start of the war?
Fake news.
I saw war...
They're photoshopped, they're fake news.
Right, so they're trying to restrict data on it.
All right.
Like every
I just want to know how this ends.
Communists in the United States. What is... There's a war.
one
Killed the Kurdish communities, which you want to see killed anyway. Bashar al-Assad...
Here we
Like,
go.
the problems in the Middle East is not just the United States. Iran regularly funds militias which mow down protesters. Bashar al-Assad brutalized his own people, killed the Kurdish communities, which you want to see killed anyway. Bashar al-Assad should be hanging from a tree, to be very clear. Bashar al-Assad should be hanging from a tree, and the failure of the West to properly respond to Assad is one of the most massive failures of the West in the last 20 years.
Shut the fuck up.
Uh-huh.
It is all of these imperialists over the span of the last 300 to 500 fucking years that have caused the material conditions that has led to the extraction of wealth from these societies. If you stop that process and you move towards global cooperation, instead of trying to fucking, bomb these countries and set them in debt traps with the IMF and trying to, extract the wealth and resources of these countries doing neo-colonialism and all this other shit, if you actually stop that bullshit, over a span of time, there will be stabilization in these countries, and we can make it that we don't have a mass immigration crisis of either Muslim immigrants or Hispanic immigrants or Asian immigrants or any type of immigrants. And this country, in the United States, the workers won't have to deal with the ramifications of these U.S. imperialist policies, as well as the British imperialist policies, and the Spanish, and the Portuguese, and the Dutch, and the French, and all the other fucking imperialist forces that found ourselves getting power.
Like the Russians and the Chinese.
As the end of the medieval age in Europe.
What did you think about the Soviet-British invasion of Iran?
What are Soviet Union's mistakes?
Okay, so it's not just the United States, which invades and conquers. I mean, Soviet Union also invaded Afghanistan and killed millions of people. And I mean, they've been fighting Afghanistan since the start of that invasion.
And funded the fucking Taliban.
Well, we funded the Mujahideen, but we did it with the Chinese, by the way. We funded the Mujahideen with the Chinese, putting weapons on the back of Chinese donkeys that went through the mountains to back the Mujahideen. But that didn't answer my question. That doesn't justify the millions the Soviet Union killed, and what was basically just like a burn it to the ground type of war.
The Soviet Union wasn't what it was. I already said at the beginning.
So was it an imperial invasion for the Soviet Union to invade Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Did you say no?
I said no.
Okay, so if you don't believe that was imperialism, that still caused a lot of instability in Afghanistan.
The Soviet Union was not aligned with the United States economically. It was aligned with the United States, or rather the British in this situation. It was aligned with the British to like what they thought would have been a better decision, which clearly the Soviet Union after Stalin made a lot of bad decisions.
Wait.
It made more bad decisions with Stalin. It was getting better for the actual people who lived there afterwards until the actual collapse, and then it became an oligarchy and a whole bunch of fucking corruption happened, and yeah, there was problems there. But
you do know the Soviet-British invasion of Iran happened in 1941, right? It happened under Stalin.
So this was a mistake Stalin made then.
Okay.
It was one of the few mistakes Stalin made.
Got you. Okay. But again,
one of the
it isn't just imperialism which is causing instability in the Middle East.
The overwhelming majority of situations is due to imperialism globally.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I think there's a lot more. I think, for example, Assad basically brought the revolution upon himself.
This isn't even a conversation. Assad is based. He won 97% of the vote. The guy didn't even want to fucking become the leader of the country. He just wanted
That's
to
what they always say. That's what Stalin said about himself, too. That's what they always say.
I believe
that the people gave him his mandate, and he just so happened to be related to his father, right? It's like a family. It's like a familial control and oligarchs control all of Syria, basically. I mean, Assad,
he wanted to rock his dentist office. That is what he did. He was a dentist.
It's a nice story. It's a cute story that he tells to supplement his cult of personality. The dude should be hanging from a tree. It's my position on Assad, to be very clear.
You think Assad should be hanging from a tree?
Yes,
wow,
absolutely.
No, I agree with Dylan here. Yeah, absolutely.
shit you
Because
are.
I know Syrians whose entire family have been slaughtered by Bashar al-Assad. I know a lot of people who've been very hurt by him. People who participated in protests, or people who started charity organizations but didn't pay the racketeers working for Assad's political party. Assad, the only justice Syrians will ever see is when Assad and his whole political dynasty is completely wiped off the face of the earth, or they get out of the country. That's my position on Bashar al-Assad. Morally. Now, geopolitically, I don't think we should go and assassinate him, but I'm thinking that's what it should be morally. Absolutely.
Western propaganda. You know nothing about Assad.
You know
Assad
nothing
is a
about
glorious
anything.
leader.
I'll ask you anything. Okay, what do you think about the 2004 football protests and what happened there? Let me ask you some questions then. If you know so much about Syria, tell me about the 2004 football protests.
Oh hail Assad! Oh hail Assad!
You don't know anything about Syria.
Oh hail Assad!
What do you think about the football protests?
Oh hail Assad!
What do you think about his torture of children?
Assad never tortured children. It's
He
fake
absolutely did. There's tons of pictures of it.
news. Fake news.
What about the racketeering his government is engaged in? What about how corrupt his government is?
Fake news.
What about the treatment of ethnic minorities?
Well, I've been told that I have to act. Yeah. My neighbor has told me that I need to end this debate.
Stop streaming
even though-
in the alleyway, yeah. I can understand why.
But with that being said, the Yankee Tankie has won this debate. Dylan Burns has been crushed. Yankee Tankie rising. Red Phoenix rising.
So
Goodbye,
ignorant,
everyone.
man. So ignorant.
He's so fucking dumb.
My goodness. Huh. That was worse than I expected. I expected him to know something about Ukraine.
Nope. You can't expect him to know anything, Dylan. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me turn on the all, because I don't know how I'm not... Oh, it's Dylan Burns Live. I'm subscribed to the normal one. Like, this was... Oh my god. But that's literally all I wanted to stream, was to go over this debate. And so we're gonna wrap it on up here. So, take care, have a good night, and be good.
Science tells you styrofoam is bad to digest.